Rodriguez is suing 22-year-old Tracy Taylor for breach of contract and damages to a '79 Chevy Malibu. Tracy claims Fernando tried to scam her.
Quiet in the courtroom, all rise. Now, it's case number 109 on the calendar in the matter of Rodriguez versus Taylor. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
Mr. Rodriguez, how do you know Miss Taylor?
She worked at the same office with my wife. She was a co-worker.
Of your wife's?
Yes.
How long had you known her before you sold her a car?
I never knew her. I just got the phone number through my wife. She told my wife she was interested in a car and I was selling one, so I gave her a call.
And what kind of car were you selling?
It's a Malibu Classic '79.
And why were you selling it?
Because I needed the money, because I was unemployed.
And what were you and your wife going to be driving?
Oh, I had another car. I had two other cars.
What other kind of cars did you have, Mr. Rodriguez?
I had another '78 Malibu and another '79 Malibu.
You liked that car?
Yes, I like Malibus.
And this is what you want. You sold Miss Taylor the car for $2,000.
Yes.
And because you say you felt sorry for her because she was a single mother, you agreed to let her make payments on it. $500 down, and then she gave you another $100. So far, she's paid $600 towards the car.
Yes.
And then, according to you, she let you know she didn't want the car and she wanted her money back. You're suing her for breach of contract.
Yes.
You want her to pay the rest of what she owes on the car. And you're suing her because you say she did damage to the car.
Yes, she did.
Because you repossessed the car.
Yes,
so
I
now
did.
you have the car.
Yes.
And her $600.
No.
Where's her $600?
When she gave them to me, I was unemployed, and I had to pay people back and give my wife money.
Listen to me. I don't mean that... Mr. Rodriguez, I don't mean necessarily that you still have the $600 in your possession. You didn't give it back to her. So you have the car and her $600.
No. She gave me $600 down. Then she said that she didn't want it no more.
So did you give her the $600 back?
No.
You spent it.
I spent some of the money, and I offered her $200. I said, that's all I have now. But I didn't have the car. When she called me, she still had it.
I want to know if you gave her any of her money back that she kept.
No, she wouldn't let me give her anything.
So then you have the car.
No, I don't have the car in my possession.
Who has the car?
I have it now because I repossessed it after.
This had to be my 9th case of the day. I don't want you to say anything, Mr. Rodriguez. I just want you to listen to me and believe what I tell you.
Okay.
You currently have her $600 and the car that you sold her.
Okay, I do.
And you're suing her for the rest of the money and because you say she did damage to the car. You got it?
Oh, I got it.
What's the Blue Book value of this car, Mr. Rodriguez?
I don't know.
Well, let's find out. 1979 Chevy Malibu. Do you think we could get that information,
Sure.
Officer Byrd? Thank you very much.
Can I say something? It all depends on how you fix the car. You can restore any car and make it look good and make it worth money. I had it nice.
Not according to her.
Okay.
Miss Taylor, on what date did you initially see this car?
On March 24th.
And you agreed to pay him $2,000 for the car? And when did you tell him that there were problems with the car?
March 25th, the next day.
What was wrong with it?
The blinkers weren't working, the speedometer, the roof was coming down, and also...
When you say the roof was coming down, what do you mean the roof
it
was
was
coming
tacked up, and I didn't realize it was tacked up.
Was it a convertible?
No.
She's talking about the upholstery.
Yeah, the upholstery was tacked up.
With what?
With thumbtacks.
This is the car that you restored, Mr. Rodriguez? Shh, shh. You tacked up the interior with thumbtacks?
No, look, the car, the interior is all red. You know, it has okay, what happened was from the windows being open, it was starting to come out. So I did put some red ones in there, some little ones, the round ones. Not the long ones they use in school, in elementary. I mean, that's what she's trying to say, trying to make it seem like. I had it red ones, you couldn't even see them. And that day when she got it, she's like, what's up with this? And I told her, but just, you know, it's coming down, you can fix it yourself, that's it. She never asked about blinkers, nothing.
Wait, what do you mean she didn't ask about blinkers? When you buy a car, you say your blinkers work? Is that what you're asking?
When I buy a car, I make sure I ask, hey, is there any malfunctions? Make sure the lights work, everything. The radio, whatever I need to know. You know, she didn't ask any questions. She just wanted a car.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Rodriguez?
Right now I'm unemployed, but I'm a machinist.
Take your hands off your hips. How long have you been unemployed?
For a few months.
So who supports you, your wife?
I just do side jobs or whatever I had to
What
do.
does that mean, you do side jobs? You say your wife works. She's a co-worker of hers, so if you don't work, then your wife supports you.
Well, she supports me.
You have children?
Yes, I do.
How many children do you have?
3.
So your wife supports you, she supports your 3 children, and she works full-time. And she takes care of the house.
No, I take care of the house.
I doubt that.
And the kids, everything.
Sure.
Can I say something?
Sure.
When I got there, I looked at the car. He had taken out the speakers. There's 2 holes in the back of the trunk, and he was inside the trunk trying to hold it up. He said he was going to fix that, and then he said that the gasket on the left side was fixed, but the right side was missing. He said he would fix it.
Miss Taylor, you're not much of a business person. What did Mr. Rodriguez say when you said, I want to return the car after one day?
He said, well, I don't have the money right now. And I was like,
Because he spent it.
Yeah. He said that he owed people, or he was going to put it in the bank, but then he told me that day I called him that he put it into his other car.
Into his other car. So, do we have any figure?
Nope.
Doesn't go back that far.
Don't go back that far.
Judge.
You know, you got an 87. And
What does the 87 show?
It said $0,
So it says the 87 is worth nothing,
pretty much. Unless it's in fantastic condition,
not kept together by thumbtacks.
pretty much.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're buying a car that's 25 years old, and you're dumb enough to pay $2,000 for it. As far as I'm concerned, you deserve what you get.
And later today,
You should kiss the ground right where you're standing and say, I'm going to be smarter next time. The next time I wait 10 years to have a guy move in with me, I'm going to know him more than 2 weeks. And it's not going to be a recent parolee from state's prison.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Fernando Rodriguez claims Tracy Taylor owes for breach of contract and damages to a '79 Chevy Malibu. Tracy is countersuing for the return of $600.
Miss Taylor, what did he say to you about getting the money back to you?
He said that he's not working right now. He already put the money into his car and give him about a week. If he couldn't come up with it in a week, he'll borrow it from a relative or family
That's what he
member.
told you. And how much after that did he come and pick up the car?
About 3 weeks later, because the end of that week I called him and he said that he barely got a job, so I'm thinking like at least a week or every 2 weeks you get paid. So I waited 2 more weeks, and then he said he lost his job or something.
But he did initially say to you when you called, he said, I don't have the money,
Yeah.
but give me some time and I'll get it to you. And then he took the car back.
I didn't know he took the car back.
How did you find out he took the car back?
Oh, because I got home, and then I took a nap, and then I went to take my mom to work, and I looked, and it wasn't there.
Mr. Rodriguez, your lawsuit is for breach of contract. You say that she made a contract with you and she didn't fulfill her obligations under the contract. Your lawsuit against her is dismissed. It's dismissed for the following reason, because I find that you agreed to take the car back and give her back her money. Ordinarily, Ms. Taylor, I couldn't help you because you buy a used car as is. If you're buying a car that's 25 years old and you're dumb enough to pay $2,000 for it, as far as I'm concerned, you deserve what you get. However, he's a slick character. He got $600 from you for this car. He should have been walking home, clicking his heels and saying, $600, it's worth less than zero, and I got $600 for it. So he should have been happy. Now he's got you $600 and he's got his car. Put your hand down. Ordinarily, in a court, in all probability, you would get nothing. However, I believe you when you say that Mr. Rodriguez agreed to take the car back when you called him the next day and said, listen, everything is falling apart in this car. I want the $600. I believe you when you say that he told you, I can't give it all back to you because I put some in my car, because that's what an idiot would do, who has 3 children and no job. They would take a piece of $600 and put it in their car and get woofers or tweeters or speakers, because he's got nothing else to do with his time but play with his cars. So I believe you when he promised to return your money, and he didn't do that. So his claim is dismissed. You get nothing. Zero. except you have your car. So you can go find somebody else who might want to buy your car, Mr. Rodriguez, because on her counterclaim, she's getting back her $600.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Because of ignorant people and they're laughing, I couldn't even give my proof.
I'm just really happy that, you know, even though I was kind of naive to the whole situation, that it's finally over with and she did believe me.
I offered her $200 a day. She didn't want it. And she told me, no, I want the full.
He didn't offer $200 a day. He offered $200 when the police were there.
The way she is, she likes to work people.
As soon as I got in the car and hit my head and something fell down, I was like, no, it's not for my baby.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McCormick versus Havens. Step forward, please.
Sherry McCormick is suing her ex-boyfriend, 25-year-old Jason Havens, for a series of unpaid loans. Sherry says she moved Jason in only weeks after his release from prison.
Miss McCormick, did you and Mr. Havens ever live together?
Yes, we did.
When?
From about October till March.
October of 2004 until March of 2005?
Yes, ma'am.
Had he been in prison before that?
Yes.
How long were you incarcerated, Mr. Havens?
4 years.
For what?
Burglary and robbery.
Is this the first time you were in jail?
Yes.
How did you meet?
At a bar.
How long had you been out of when you met Miss McCormick?
2 weeks.
Where had you been living?
I was staying with my father at the time being.
Where are you working now, Mr. Havens?
I just do side roof jobs, work under the table, doing roofing, construction.
You're not supposed to say in front of 10 million people, sir, including the IRS, that you're being paid under the table. I'm just suggesting that to you. I didn't ask you that question, whether you were paid under the table.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily, be smart, you don't necessarily have to volunteer that information. Do you understand? How much after you met him did he move in with you, Miss McCormick?
It was a few weeks. We had a first date a week later, and then it was a few weeks after that that he moved in.
And you live with your daughter?
Yes.
NS. You know what NS means? Not smart.
I know. I know.
Really not smart. Because I assume that since Mr. Havens is so honest with me, he told you that he had been released from prison 2 weeks before? That he had been in prison for burglary and robbery?
Well, that wasn't the story that I heard in the beginning.
He wasn't in prison for working under the table?
No, he wasn't.
Okay, and you don't get 4 years for a first-time offense?
I don't know the court system that well, but...
All right, but you do watch television.
Yes.
That's what educates most people. Didn't educate you enough because you allowed him to move into your house with your daughter. Is this your daughter?
Yes, it is.
Miss McCormick. It's your claim that you made a series of loans to Mr. Havens.
Yes.
During the time that he was living there with you. Mr. Havens says, yes, you did give him money. He was getting back on his feet, and you were more than happy to help him to do that.
That wasn't the case. They were loans.
Let me hear about them, Miss McCormick. I'm going to have to make a judgment about that.
I believe the first one was he came home one night and he had a fat lip. He had been in a gambling game and lost $250. And I had heard some of the voice messages from these people who were after him. And I didn't want to see anything happen to him, so he asked to borrow the money. I, as a matter of fact, had to borrow $100 of it from my grandmother to give him.
When was this?
That was in October, early November.
Keep going.
During the period of time, he would come to me and ask me for $20 here, $10 there, ask me for money to go see his daughter, to do things with his daughter, and at one time he ended up at a party with his cousin with the money that I had loaned him to do something with his daughter.
And when was that?
Probably in November.
November. All righty. So let's see what we got. We've got someone that you met in a bar that moved in with you 2 weeks later, who had been released from prison after serving 4 years. During that same month, he comes home after a gambling debt leaves him bloodied, according to you. You have people calling and leaving voice messages, and those people are saying that they're going to cut him off at the knees unless he gives them this $250, whatever.
Yeah.
So you borrow money from your grandmother to get him out of that fix, and then you continue to live with him. When you start giving him more money, 20 here, 10 there, and then some money to go and visit his daughter, and you find out that he ended up at a party with a friend and didn't use the money for the visit with his daughter. That's in November. Let's go to the next one.
I had gone to Florida, and he house sat for me. He asked for money while I was in Florida, and I left him money. And while I was in Florida, he ran out of money, so I had called my dad's girlfriend, and she took him over another 20. You know, all this was in promise that when he got his money from his loan from school that he would pay me back.
Is that right?
No, it's not right.
Nah! Don't believe a word of that, Miss McCormick. You've got to start using your brains. How many men have you had living in your house with your daughter in the last 10 years?
Only one.
Only him?
Yes.
You were certainly holding out, and you waited for some, and you got some bargain. Oh,
I'm not
you got
saying I
yourself
didn't make a big mistake.
the real pick of the litter. You bought a car from her, is that right?
Yes.
Did you give her any money down?
I gave her an $800 down payment and agreed to pay the rest of the $2,000 monthly.
She took the car back.
Yeah, before the first payment.
Did he give you $800 towards the car?
No, he did not.
How much did he give you?
He didn't give me anything.
She's not going to admit to it. I gave her $800. I gave her 50s and 100s because I got it out of my school loan check. That was the whole point of me getting the loan, was so I could get a car. And she was the perfect opportunity for me to get a car, so I got it from her.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Sure.
He made it a point to have his father mail me a check so he would have a receipt for the first payment. And if he gave me $800 supposedly, I would think he would have wanted a receipt for it also.
That was before I moved out, before she went crazy and tried to go to my friends' houses and try to find me everywhere every night.
Which I did not do.
He doesn't have a counterclaim for this $800. He just says, listen, I bought a car from her, I gave her some cash. She repossessed the car because I didn't finish paying, because I didn't pay for it. She just didn't want me to have it anymore. She repossessed the car. So he doesn't have a counterclaim. I don't have to even believe that he gave you $800. All I have to believe is, from your perspective, is whether or not you advanced him this money with an expectation of being repaid. I don't believe any sane person who's 43 years old, who has a teenage daughter, who runs a house, first gives him $250, then without getting a penny back, gives him more money a couple of weeks later, and then a couple of months later, without getting any more money back, gives him more money and has a legitimate expectation of being repaid. I don't believe that you had a legitimate expectation of being repaid.
I did, Your
I think
Honor.
you made a big mistake, and the big mistake was letting him move in. The big mistake was not the few $100 that you gave him over the course of the months that he was living there. And you should kiss the ground right where you're standing that he left your house, and left your house intact, and left you intact, and left your daughter intact. And say, I'm going to be smarter next time. The next time I wait 10 years to have a guy move in with me, I'm going to know him more than 2 weeks. And it's not going to be a recent parolee from state's prison. Your lawsuit is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused.
Is suing his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend, 22-year-old Billy Peterson, for keying the side of his car. Billy is denying the charge.
Now, this is case number 115 on the calendar, the matter of Ari versus Peterson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
All right, Mr. Ari, the defendant is the now ex-boyfriend of your now current girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that when he found out that you were involved with his then-girlfriend, he vandalized your car. Mr. Peterson says, I didn't do it.
Right.
When did he vandalize your car, sir?
March 23rd, but it happened, I didn't find out. It happened until the 24th, the following morning.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding him vandalizing your car.
That day, we got home from work.
Who's we?
Me and Jennifer. I went to her apartment. It was probably around 11 to 12 that night. When he came, I was inside with her sister watching television. I heard them arguing. The door comes swinging open. I see her flying to the side, and he comes rushing in. And at the time, I'm lying on the ground watching television. They just moved into the apartment, and he runs up with his hands balled in the fist, facial mannerism, just like, you know, very aggressive. And I can tell he wanted, you know, to fight or something like that. So I stood up.
Had you ever seen him before?
No, I never saw him in
Never
my
met.
life.
So you
Never
stood
met
up.
the guy. So, yeah.
And when you stood up, what happened?
Oh, when I stood up, his whole mannerism changed real
Right.
quick. I was like, what's the problem, you know? And at this time, I started taking off my watch, and he looks at me, he's like, oh, I just want to ask you a question. So we walk outside.
What were you taking your watch off for?
Well, you know, I want to know what time it was, man, you know? So.
Why were you taking your watch off?
Well, it was a nice watch, and I just didn't want to mess it up. So,
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, he follows me outside, and he asked me, what's the deal between you and Jennifer? And I asked him, I was like, well, do you know who I am? He was like, no. And I was like, well, I don't know you either, and is Jennifer your girlfriend? And he kind of like paused and hesitated. I was like, is Jennifer your girlfriend? And he was like, well, I was like, well, dude, you know, I don't know you don't know me, you have to ask her. And I left him out there, and I went back inside.
Had Jennifer told you she had a boyfriend?
She told me that she broke up with him around December, January. That like he was assaultive, would hit her and stuff like that. She just got tired of it.
So she told you at the time she invited you over that you didn't have a boyfriend?
Yes. We'd known each other for probably 2 or 3 weeks before I ever been asked to come over to her house. It had been like a month before I even came over there. I started working where we work at in January.
Now tell me about the vandalism to your car.
Okay, well, after I left him outside, he did come back in again. He came back in and told her that he wanted to grab his stuff. And she was like, well, you don't have anything here, but whatever, take whatever you want and leave. After he went upstairs, taking whatever, he was up there for a while. When she went back up there, they started arguing again. I got tired of it, and I got up and I was like, look, is there a problem? And that's when he left. He finally left. And then Jennifer and her sister watched him through the window.
Don't tell me what they saw.
I'm sorry, man.
Jennifer, what did you see?
After he went outside, my sister and I were looking out the window. At that point, I seen him like walk around the car, and it looked like he was just dragging his finger along the sides of the car. And he just walked around the whole vehicle, and then I seen him just walk away and get in his truck and leave.
Did you tell Mr. Ari what you had seen?
No, I didn't tell Sean at that time because I didn't want them to fight any longer. And my little sister was there, and I didn't want her exposed to this. And I knew how upset Sean was about the whole thing, and how much more he would be upset if he knew that Billy was anywhere around his car.
Well, when did he find the damage to his car?
That following morning, ma'am.
Did you stay over that night?
Yeah, she asked me to, because she said she was scared. So.
And when you went out in the morning, what did you find?
A nice little decoration around my car.
Can I see it, please? You have
Yes,
pictures. Let's see. Did you speak to him about it?
Right after we called the cops and Sean and the cops left, I received a phone call from a private number on my cell phone, and it was Billy, and he was asking me, how's your friend's car? How's your friend's car? And saying, like, if I was to say anything, it's going to happen to my car, and that I was his and I would always be his and no one else's. I hung up, and he continued to call me back on private numbers, and I went ahead and called the cops.
Okay, I'll hear you.
On March 23rd, I went over to see Jennifer Gifford, who is now my ex-girlfriend. She was my girlfriend at the time. We talked about our relationship for the simple fact that I had just helped her move into this home. It was actually supposed to be me moving into the home, but it didn't turn out that way as her sister moved in. At that time, we were just discussing our relationship. She asked me what was going on. I asked her if everything was okay between us. Basically, I was expressing, like my love for her. She seemed pretty apprehensive to really speak to me at that point. She seemed just not her usual self. I dated her for about three and a half years.
You knew before that things were not right, Mr. Peterson, because you were supposed to, according to you, move into this apartment together. She had been in this apartment for a month, and you weren't living with her. So you knew something wasn't right a month ago.
Well, I have a child.
How old is the child?
3 years old, and that was a complication at hand.
So you knew that things weren't right between the two of you for at least a month.
She actually lived with me in my home, and things were good. We didn't have any complications.
When she moved into her own place and you weren't living with her, you knew that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you go over there for at such a late hour?
She received a diamond ring from me. March, when I went over the 23rd.
When did she receive a diamond ring from you?
Christmas.
Okay.
Okay. When I went over there the 23rd of March, discussing issues in regards to our relationship, this gentleman here, the plaintiff, exited the doorway asking me who I was at that time. Now we got myself, this gentleman, and her outside in a very awkward situation. I asked her who was he. She didn't respond. He asked me who I was, and I told him.
What did you tell him?
I said, I'm her boyfriend. Who are you?
Why you went over there so late, sir?
Well, because usually I stay the night there, and I had stayed the night there like several days prior to this circumstance.
Did you take the engagement ring?
Yes.
Get to what happened when you left.
She actually, during the time that we spoke outside, all three of us, me and him didn't come to any terms of agreement whatsoever. We didn't even discuss anything. I asked her if this was the way it's going to be, if I can get my belongings. She allowed me to enter the house. I went and got all my belongings. I had shoes, pajamas, had the ring. I walked downstairs holding all my belongings. And this gentleman was waiting there by the door. And when I walked by him with my stuff, you know, he basically, quote unquote, said, next time we meet, you know, it ain't gonna be nice. Closing the door at that time, you know, slamming it, saying, you know, it was an indicator like, you're not welcome here. So at that point, I got in my vehicle, I left home. I heard from Mrs. Gifford the next morning. She contacted me, she said, you know, Sean is accusing you of messing up his car. I said, I didn't do anything like that, okay? And you should know me better than that. We were together 3 years, I never did anything like that. So basically, that's how it went. And
who do you think keyed his car?
I don't know. It's a new neighborhood, so I really wasn't sure. Like I said, I'd made sure that, you know, when I moved her in.
Who are you?
Excuse me, I'm Billy's mother. My name is Anna Peterson.
You know anything about this case?
I know some. Jennifer Gifford called me that next day, and she said, I think Billy keyed my friend's car. And I says, why didn't you call us and say, Billy's over here, there's a problem? She had no response. I replied, you know us for 3 years. You know we don't condone any kind of negative behavior. She proceeded to cry and say it wasn't supposed to be like this. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I said, no, Jennifer, you've been in my family for 3.5 years. I've come to love you, and it isn't supposed to be like this, okay? So prior to that, the day before, she had come to my home with my grandchild. Now, if they're not a couple, what is she doing with my grandbaby? She's come to my home the day prior to this happening, this incident. She has my granddaughter. I sit down and we have a heart-to-heart talk. I said, Jennifer, how are things with you and Billy? She says, we are working things out. I said, are you dating a certain individual? Not this gentleman. She replied, no. So at that point, I didn't feel there was a problem at all because they had still been seeing each other. She had been with us in March.
Jennifer, I have a question for you, dear.
Yes.
You didn't tell this gentleman, uncross your hands, you didn't tell Mr. Ari?
Yes, ma'am.
About what happened that night. He stayed all night.
Correct.
Correct? Now, private number called.
Yes.
And you say you spoke to Mr. Peterson.
Correct.
And then he kept calling. And you kept taking the phone calls, or did you let it go to voicemail?
I took a couple and then I stopped. I called the cops. They came and took a report and went and spoke to him and told him he needed to stop calling me and that if he came back to my house, he would be arrested for trespassing.
Did the police tell you to stop calling her?
Yes. They contacted me through the telephone, and they said that Mrs. Gifford has stated that you and her are not going to be in a relationship anymore, so please do not have any more contact or show up at her home. I said, yes, sir. Not a problem.
What would make her call the police, Mr. Peterson?
I believe it lays down a foundation in which there's no pertinent evidence in which can be held against me in this predicament. I mean, given the circumstance at hand, I've been accused of vandalizing a car, and she asked me the next morning if I was okay.
Listen to me, Mr. Peterson. There are only two people that could have vandalized that car. One was you, and one was Jennifer. Now, if Jennifer had a sick pathology, she could have said, listen, when he's sleeping, I'm going to go out, I'm going to vandalize his car, I'm going to key his car, and then I'm going to be able to get rid of Mr. Peterson once and for all because he's going to stay away from me. She would have to be pretty nutty to do that. But those are the only two people, in my judgment, going to do it. Her sister wasn't going to do it. Her sister doesn't care whether she's seeing you, whether she's seeing him. She doesn't care. I just don't see her doing that, Mr. Peterson.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I told them they could go down there and play with the foosball table, but they were to not touch anything that was marks and to stay away from the motorcycle.
Any of you children touch the motorcycle?
No, ma'am.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sean Ari says his girlfriend's ex, Billy Peterson, vandalized his car by keying it. Billy admits he was angry, but claims he didn't do it.
You certainly had the opportunity to key his car. And after what you discovered that evening when you arrived at her house, there's no question you had the inclination to key his car. You weren't going to fight him because after he stood up, you figured you weren't going to get the best of this deal.
Probably not.
Probably not. So what's the next best thing to a young man's heart is his car. What kind of an estimate did you get to fix your car, sir?
The cheapest one was to cover up just the scratch without painting it, the whole car.
So, Mr. Peterson, in civil cases, courts have to decide, not beyond a reasonable doubt, that would be a criminal case as to whether you were guilty of vandalism, but whether there is more evidence than not, by a preponderance of the evidence, more evidence than not, as to whether or not I believe you keyed his car. Mr. Peterson, I believe you keyed his car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,200. That's all.
Thank you, man.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
When you date someone for a while, they may end up cheating on you. It's basically what happened to me, and they kind of got together and orchestrated the plan.
We didn't start dating until just recently, so, you know, and that happened in March.
He was threatening me and making it a jokingly manner of how my friend's car was.
She got caught, and now she don't know what to do about it.
Where I'm from, we don't scratch guys' cars, so, you know, and me and him aren't from the same town.
I'm just glad it's done and over with, and we don't have to deal with him anymore.
Like I said, it just goes to show, be careful who you date.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mason versus Fleck. Step forward.
21-year-old Mark Mason is suing his mother's friend, Michael Fleck, for damage to a motorcycle and snowboard. Mark says Michael's children are the culprits.
Is this your mother?
Yes, it is.
Just step up, please. How old are you, Mr. Mason?
I'm 21.
Where do you live?
I live at my dad's and my mom's house, kind of between the both of them.
When did this incident happen with your motorcycle and snowboard?
February of this winter.
And where were you living in February?
On the weekends, I was staying at my mom's house, and during the week at my dad's because it's closer to school.
Father have a house?
Yes, he does.
But you stored a motorcycle and a surfboard in the basement at your mother's house.
It was a motorcycle and a snowboard.
Snowboard.
Yep.
Now, Miss Mason, how do you know Mr. Fleck?
We dated a few years ago.
And he came to visit you in February?
Correct.
With his 3 children?
Yes.
What was the weather like the day he came to visit?
It was winter, so in Minnesota and Wisconsin, snowy and cold.
So the children were playing indoors?
Correct.
When did they ask you if they could go down to play in the basement?
I had shown them a tour of the home, and they saw Mark has a foosball table down there, and they had seen the foosball table and wanted to go down and play with the foosball table.
So what did you say?
I told them they could go down there and play with the foosball table, but they were to not touch anything that was Mark's and to stay away from the motorcycle.
And you told that to 3 little children?
Correct.
And then you were upstairs entertaining Mr. Fleck?
We had ordered pizza, so we were waiting for the pizza to get delivered.
Okay. This is your lawsuit, Mr. Mason.
Yep.
The lawsuit wants Mr. Fleck to pay for damage allegedly done by his 3 children when they were playing with a box downstairs in the basement, playing in a big old box. And they bumped up against either your snowboard or your bicycle and caused damage to your bicycle.
That's correct.
Right? He's not going to pay for that.
Whose responsibility would it be?
Your mother's.
Why is that?
You were storing items in your mother's house. She had the opportunity to say to Mr. Fleck's children, do not go down to the basement. They would not have gone down to the basement without her permission. If they hadn't been down there playing, then the property would not have been damaged. And your mother had total control over that.
Even though it was an accident on their behalf, it's not their responsibility?
Absolutely correct.
Okay, I would like to say that at first, Mr. Fleck agreed to pay for the damages upon getting an estimate, and he even listed me as a debt on claiming bankruptcy.
Did you declare bankruptcy, sir?
I'm in the process now, ma'am, yes.
How much did Mr. Mason tell you that the damage was to his property?
The first figure I received was $250.
When did you receive that figure?
Say 2 weeks after this incident occurred.
Did you tell him that you would pay the $250?
No, ma'am. I said I would talk to my children.
Then why did you list him as a creditor?
I was told to do so by my attorneys.
You mean any possible person that you might owe money to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you originally tell Mr. Fleck, Mr. Mason, that the damage was $250?
Yeah, I called around to get
The
estimates.
answer is either yes or no.
Yes,
Then why are you suing him for $877.46?
because once I went to the dealer and got the estimates, that's what they came back as. That was my estimate at first. Me, not the dealer.
Did you tell that to Mr. Fleck?
I did. That was just some online researching that I did.
I don't think he owes you anything. And he says he didn't agree to pay you. He said he just listed you in his bankruptcy because in the event that you got a judgment against him, he wanted to be covered. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Any of you children touch the motorcycle?
No, ma'am.
Were you playing in a big cardboard box?
I was.
That's what happens when kids play.
So they're not responsible for their damages?
Your mother gave them permission to go downstairs, sir. Your mother gave them permission to go downstairs. And if what happened down there was an accident, should have been covered by your homeowner's insurance if you had it. Do you have homeowner's insurance?
No, ma'am.
Should have. Or else your mother's going to fix it. She should not have let Mr. Fleck's children go downstairs if your property was downstairs and she knew it was valuable. You got it? Goodbye.
The parties are excused.
Jill claims she was neglecting his children.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 586 on the calendar in the matter of Peary versus Chambers. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, lady, have seats, please.
Ms. Peary, you had provided child care for Mr. Chambers' children for some time. Your complaint is that he removed his 2 children from your daycare facility recently without giving you the requisite month's notice. He had only given you 2 weeks' notice because he had paid the beginning of the month and he removed the children in the middle of the month. Mr. Chambers states that he believes that his children received inadequate care. He was quite concerned about an incident that occurred at your daycare facility with one of his children, and because of that, he should not be required to give you the 30 days notice. That's your position, sir. Is that right?
That is my position, Your Honor.
Okay. When did you start to take care of the Chambers children?
Initially in January of 2001.
And how old were they at that time?
They were quite young. The youngest was crawling, and their older was around 1-ish.
That would be hard. How old were your children in January of 2001, sir?
I believe my youngest was just about 6 months, and the older, I believe, Your Honor, was just turned 2.
And they were there full-time?
That's correct.
Now, there was a time when they left your facility for a brief period of time, and then they came back a few months later. When did they terminate your service?
December.
December what?
Of 2002.
December what?
Well, they had paid through the last day of December.
When did they remove the children? What date? Yes, sir.
December 19th, I believe, Your Honor.
Oh, right, where they did not come back. That's correct.
Now, Mr. Chambers, you're going to tell me why you removed the children on the 19th.
On that date, I, along with my friend, had gone to pick up my children. It was approximately 4:45. When I arrived, my child, who was 3 at the time, was sitting next to a piano in the living room, crying, and he had...
What's his name?
His name is Tyler. And he was wearing this shirt, Your Honor, and it was soaked on this sleeve, and he had chewed little holes in here. He was sitting on the floor. I didn't see any adult, so I went over and I addressed him and asked what was going on. At that stage, my 2-year-old ran up and said, Tyler's in trouble. Then the adult supervisor at the time, whose name was Liz, entered the room and said, "Oh, I'm glad you're here. We're very angry at Tyler." I asked her, well, what's going on? She goes, he scratched Mrs.
Just a second. Is Liz an employee of yours?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is she now?
Because of the incident, they had a state investigation, and all claims were cleared. And so
Where is she now?
She's working at the daycare.
You did not bring her?
No, ma'am.
Where were you during this incident?
I was present.
You were there at 4:45 p.m.?
I had left at 3:45.
So you weren't there at 4:45?
Correct.
Her employee's working. She chose not to bring her. I'm going to let you tell me what she told you.
Yes, ma'am. And also,
she said they were very angry at Tyler.
They were very angry at Tyler. He had scratched Miss Jin's piano. She showed me the scratches. There was considerable damage. He is only 3. To me, it was my understanding he had been doing it for some time.
Did Tyler cause considerable damage to your piano?
No, I did a simple polish on the piano and they all but disappeared.
At the time, it looked like it was scratched?
Oh, it had been scratched, but it wasn't considerable. It wasn't anything that I was too concerned about. But he had done something.
Okay. Were you present when he scratched the piano?
Yes, ma'am.
What time did he scratch the piano?
It was during nap time, which was 12:30, between 12:30 and 2 o'clock.
Well, where were you?
During nap time, he lays in the living area, the general area, and I am in the kitchen area, which overlooks the general area.
You did not see him marking up the piano?
No, I did not.
When did you discover that he had marked up the piano?
When I was cleaning up after nap time.
What time, 2 o'clock?
Yes, it was between 2 and 2:30, and had found the scratches and said, Tyler, did you do this? What happened? And he showed me he had brought in a piece of clay from outside. We'd had a windstorm and a pot broke. Brought it in and had started writing his T's and his letters on the piano.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This is not a business for you, madam.
I've been in the business for 13 years.
Well, I want
love
to tell you
their
something.
children.
I don't know where, but I wouldn't leave my child with you.
They're very well watched over. In fact,
what I'm telling you is, it's outrageous.
And later today,
I finally got the chow off, and I went back to get the Rottweiler off. That's when I got bit in the thumb. I picked my dog up, and he was full of holes.
child care provider Jennifer Peary says former client Mitchell Chambers owes for breaking their contract. Mitchell claims Jennifer gave his son a 3-hour timeout.
So from 2:30 to 4:45, he was in timeout?
No, ma'am, no. He was in a 15-minute timeout.
Yeah. Well, why was he still sitting in a corner at 4:45 crying?
That is not the case.
Well, you weren't there from 3:45 until at least 4:45, is that right?
I did ask
Okay. Now, what did her employee Liz tell you?
I asked her, well, when did this happen? And she stated between 12:30 and 1. The children were down for naps, and she heard Miss Jen scream and was upset about the piano, and then she said that they found some pottery in the room. They asked Tyler, and Tyler said he had scratched the piano. And this is the shirt that he was wearing, and his diaper was also wet. I have reason to believe I can't understand that he wasn't there for 3 hours.
Right. Your Honor, he regularly chewed on his clothing. He was a very nervous child, and he regularly chewed holes in his clothing and had quite a bit of saliva and drool, so that was very normal for him to chew on his clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I left at 3:45, I told my employee, go make dinner, get, the evening ready. He was done with his timeout. It had been done and over with.
Who was your employee?
Liz.
How many children do you have?
There were probably approximately 11.
11 children, and how many employees? One?
It is myself.
You weren't there at
right,
3:45?
I have 3 employees.
How many were there that day?
2. At that time, it was 1.
And you told the one employee that was there to go inside in the kitchen and get ready for dinner?
At the time,
That's what you just
she
told
is
me.
not
I mean,
left
is that
with-
what you just told me? You told me you left, you had one other employee, you had 11 children, including at least 2 toddlers, one 2 years old and one 3 years old.
Right.
One that had already brought a sharp enough object into the house so that they could damage a piece of wood. That piece of sharp object that he brought in from the house could just as easily have hurt him as hurt your piano. And you left 11 children in the care of one person who you told to go in and prepare dinner.
There were not 11 children there at the time.
Well, that's
there
what
was
I
there
asked you.
in the day.
I asked you how many children were there on December 19th?
For the total day. But when I leave one employee in charge, no more than 8 children can be there at a time.
Good. You left one person with 8 children,
correct,
toddlers, and you told that employee to go and prepare dinner.
Right. She takes the children with her into the kitchen area.
Miss
She
Perry?
has, pardon me?
You're going from bad to worse, madam.
Oh, I'm just trying to get my point across.
You're getting your point across. She takes all 8 children with her into the kitchen to cook dinner?
That is
Where were you
correct.
going at 2:45?
My daughter has piano practice, and I take her to practice, and then I come back home. So the situation had not gotten out of hand.
Miss Perry.
Yes, ma'am.
This is not a business for you, madam.
I've been in the business for 13 years.
Well, I want
loved
to tell you
their
something. I
children.
don't know where, but I wouldn't leave my child with you. You have 8 toddlers that you're putting in a kitchen with somebody who's preparing dinner, and you're out taking your daughter to piano practice. That's outrageous.
They're very well watched over. In fact,
what I'm telling you is it's outrageous, and you shouldn't be here. So if you've been in business for 13 years, I would suggest that you take your business and its good name and walk out the door, because if they gave you 2 weeks' notice under these circumstances, that's all you were entitled to. Goodbye.
Can I mention the state?
Goodbye.
She didn't even let me
Why does
say
that
anything.
excuse? They step out.
They had the state investigate me. They did a 30-day grueling investigation, and I was cleared of all charges.
It doesn't mean it didn't happen. It just means that they couldn't prove it.
I really don't think they wanted to pay me. They wanted to get out of payment, and so they made up a story.
The children obviously aren't old enough to really be a witness. They pretty much took my version and then her version and said it was a draw.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Meyer versus McDermott. Step forward, please.
Terry Meyer is suing student Elisa McDermott for vet bills and pain and suffering due to a dog attack. Elisa says Terry's dog attacked first.
Mr. Meyer, it is your claim that the defendant's dogs bit not only you, which was a minor injury, but seriously injured your dog.
Yes.
By biting your dog. You want the defendant to be responsible for all of the bills that you sustained as a result of this attack. Ms. McDermott says that the whole incident was your fault. So I'd like you to tell me where this happened, what time it happened, who else was present when it happened.
It happened on January 12th in our city park, and I walk my dog there every day, 3 times a day.
What kind of a dog do you have?
I have a little rat terrier husky mix,
How much does the dog weigh?
about 25, 30 pounds.
What time of the day were you walking?
6 o'clock, exactly.
Go ahead.
I got out of my truck and I walked down to the lake, and my dog was on a leash, and I felt the leash go all the way out, and I turned around and there was 2 dogs on my dog chewing on him.
Excuse me?
Don't speak until I get to you.
Okay, thank you.
I turned around and the dogs were chewing on my dog, and his leash broke. I ran over to my...
What kind of a lead was it? One of those that...
A little retractable on a little cord. But he's a little dog, and the dogs were chewing him up. I ran over there, and I jumped on the dogs. There was nobody around when I jumped down on the dogs. Then all of a sudden, I looked up, and she was standing there.
What kind of dogs were these?
One was a Rottweiler Black Lab mix, and one was a Chow dog. The Rottweiler had his jaws locked on my dog's behind, and I couldn't get him off. I screamed at the lady to help me get her dogs off of him, and she couldn't get him off. So
Did she try?
She tried, but she couldn't get him off. I pulled the Rottweiler's jaws off my dog, and I got him off, and then I went to get the Chow off my dog, and the Rottweiler grabbed back a hold of it. So I was fighting with 2 dogs at the same time. I finally got the Chow off, and I went back to get the Rottweiler off. That's when I got bit in the thumb. I picked my dog up, and he was full of holes. I could almost reach inside of his stomach.
He had several surgeries?
Yeah, he had to go in surgery like 2 or 3 times.
Okay, how did you find Miss McDermott?
I searched everywhere. I couldn't find her after I took my dog to the vet. She was gone already. The police came there right away. They couldn't find her. Then the city newspaper printed it in the paper.
And you went into the police station?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. Now let's go back to the 12th.
Okay.
At about 6 o'clock in the evening, you're walking your 2 dogs. One is a Rottweiler mix?
Yes, I have. Did you want pictures?
I'd like to take a look at them, please, Bird.
And I also have something from the vet, and I have his vet bill.
Want to tell me what happened with your dogs?
Okay,
on the 12th?
it was dark. It had just snowed quite a bit. We came around some evergreen trees, and I see a white, and I think it had some black on it, dog running at my dogs. So my dogs protected themselves. They did not attack his dog.
Were your dogs off the leash?
Yes, they were. And I paid the fine, and his dog actually was off the leash also.
I know, but unfortunately, his dog didn't bite yours, nor did his dog bite you.
He threw himself on his dog. My dogs didn't go after him.
All precipitated by the fact that there were dogs off the leash. Ms.
And
McDermott.
actually, his dog did bite mine, but my dogs, as you can see in the pictures, have really thick fur.
I'm waiting for why you don't think you're responsible.
Because his dog wasn't on a leash, my dog wasn't on a leash. My dog did not attack his dogs, nor did they attack him.
Well, let me ask you this question. What efforts did you make to pry your dog away from his dog?
He ran about the same time I did. He threw himself on his dog, and I retrieved my dogs. He never tried to retrieve my dogs because he was laying on the ground over his dog.
What caused you to go to the police?
The first time I checked, there had been nothing said about it, and then friends of mine had read it in the newspaper, because I walk all over town. Everybody knows what dogs I have.
Now, Mr. Mayor, I have these vet bills, and is this correct that your total out-of-pocket expense for your dog was $304?
Exactly.
Okay. Is there any other evidence that you want to give me?
Yes, I have pictures of my dog.
I'd like to see them.
Here's one before. There's the dog after he was attacked, and me.
What did you do for the bite on your thumb?
I cleaned it up. I was so occupied with all this, I didn't have time to go to the doctor. This was a 17-day nightmare. I mean, my dog could hardly move. He couldn't do anything. I have...
Miss McDermott, is this the first summons you've received for letting your dogs be
Yes.
without a leash? Anything else?
Yes, Your Honor. I have her arrest. Well, she turned herself in, but they considered it an arrest
Can I see
paper.
that, Bird?
And if her dog didn't bite before, why did she put her own dog to sleep?
Which dog did you put to sleep?
I put the Chow to sleep.
Why?
Because when he was very young, I had problems between the two dogs. And what I felt about the incident was that Chewy is that's the Chow that I put to sleep, is a very protective dog. He's not a vicious dog, he doesn't attack, but he was very protective of me. And I didn't want to have a situation where a young girl lost control or a young child lost control of their dog. It happened in another city.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Now, she put the Chow to sleep, but the Rottweiler did all that damage. Those dogs were vicious. I mean, there was... And what if it was a little kid at the park? Because we live by school.
Well, Ms. McDermott then takes a serious risk. This is certainly some serious damage that was done to this dog, and this was done by the Rottweiler.
Yeah, most of it, just the puncture wounds on the back.
See, now I don't know how he can say he knows which dog gave, because he threw himself on the dog, and it was screaming and excited, and his dog ran at us.
He knows.
So
I put my hands in their mouth to pry them out. I know what dog they were.
He knows. Okay, so the pain and suffering that you're asking for
Yes.
is the pain and suffering for the dog.
Yes.
I don't know of any court that awards pain and suffering for the animal, sir. This clearly was a situation that was instigated, in my judgment, by her two dogs being off the leash. And I wish I had more confidence in the fact, Mr. Mayor, that your dog was on a leash.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm
yes,
saying
I
to you,
do.
sir? I'm not so confident that when you let your dog out of the truck,
Right.
you weren't just going to go around the park comfortably like she was doing. That doesn't say that this should be the result.
Right.
So absolutely, Ms. McDermott has to pay for your vet bills. And I'm also sure that, are you a working man?
No, I'm disabled. I don't work. I spent 17 days taking care of this dog.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say you would also be entitled to the time that you spent away from your job tending to the dog.
Yeah.
Taking the dog to the vet, but you are unemployed.
No,
So
I'm
you're
disabled. Yes.
Okay. So judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $304. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
$1,700 is excessive, I think, for pain and suffering when he had 6 vet bills.
I had a 12-foot leash. No, if the dogs weren't attacking my dog, you wouldn't have... No.
I actually agree with how she presented it. I think it should be taken a little different since they were both dogs involved, because dogs don't act like people.
Could have been a little kid, like I said. Her dogs were vicious. They should have both been put to sleep.
Is suing the mother of his daughter, 22-year-old Tiffany Heron, for the return of a TV and home theater system. Tiffany claims Justin abandoned the property.
Yeah, it's case number 151 on the calendar in the matter of Clausen versus Harem. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Ms. Herram, while I have a busy day today, and I'm not going to make you leave the courtroom, I'm going to suggest that the next time you appear in court, you are more appropriately dressed. Do we understand each other?
Sorry, Your Honor.
You're not going to a beach party today. Today you come to court. When you come to court, you come appropriately dressed. We understand each other?
Definitely.
Good. Now, Mr. Clausen, you and the defendant have a child together.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it is your complaint that when you separated some time ago, you left your television set and entertainment center with Ms. Herram.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you want those items back.
Yes, that would
because
be
you
great.
say you paid for them, and you're still paying for them.
Yes.
Ms. Herram says you left her not only with the child, but with a whole stack of bills, and she paid as many payments as you did on that television set and entertainment center. They don't belong to you. They belong to her. When did the two of you separate, sir?
We separated in January of '04.
And when was the television purchased?
In September of '03
And the entertainment center?
as well, at the same time. And the TV stand as well.
You moved out of the house, sir, in January of 2004?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you left the television set and entertainment center there?
Yes, I took everything else that I could, but I did not have a truck to take that.
Well, between January 2004 and June of 2005, I assume that you could have gotten a truck.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you didn't.
I did. I called the police. She wouldn't let me get it. I called the police and they said...
The first time that you asked for it was what date?
A couple days after that, I was like, hey, can I get it back? She said, no. Too bad.
Okay, fine. When did you first file a claim against her in small claims court, which you did in order to initiate this case for the return of your TV and entertainment center?
I have it right here when I went.
What's the date?
The date is 3/15 of '05.
So I'm going to ask you, where were you for 14 months?
Yeah, I'm trying to become a firefighter. And I was going to school 4 or 5 days a week, and I just didn't have any time for that at all. And taking
Well,
care
what
of
are
my
you doing now?
Now I took some time off because we went through a bunch of custody hearings for our child.
One custody hearing.
Shh,
Mediation, meeting lawyers, and everything else.
Just a second. So you took time off for that?
Yes.
And when was the custody case ultimately decided?
3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago.
Give me the date.
May 18th.
Yes, Your Honor.
And at what stage of the proceedings were the custody and visitation and support case in at the time that you filed the small claims court case?
I filed it right after that.
Right after what?
After we went to mediation, I filed for small claims court on...
Well, what happened at mediation?
I tried taking it through mediation. She wouldn't have anything to do with it. Her mother said that she would pay me $1,500 for it, but she...
What are you talking about?
May I say something?
Yes.
In mediation, he took my daughter from a family member's house, which happens to be my cousin's mother. He wouldn't let me see my daughter, so I went down and I filed custody papers. They granted me full temporary custody.
When was that?
In March.
In March, and it was right after that that he filed the small claims court case.
That is correct, and it was the day that he was ordered to pay me child support that he served me the papers for the small claims
Tell
court.
him why.
Excuse me?
I was going to have him tell her. Excuse me, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
I didn't ask you anything. Now, on what date did you take your daughter from this lady's house?
I'm not sure of the date, Your Honor.
Well, if you're not sure of the date, she is. What was the date?
March 15th.
Yes, madam. You want to get up and say something?
Yes, I do.
You're exploding.
Yes, it was March 23rd.
What was March 23rd?
That the baby was removed from the cousin's house because we had a phone call.
She was
Shh, don't speak.
We had a phone call from a bounty hunter looking for Tiffany. And
Yeah.
the bounty hunter stated that he needed to get hold of her and that the guy that they're looking for was a drug dealer. So her family told Justin to go get Kaya. And that's why Justin went and got Kaya.
Her father and her...
Just a second. There was a hearing, ultimately.
Yes,
Is that
Your Honor.
right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at the hearing, who was awarded custody?
She was. I did not have any paternity tests.
Have you had one now?
No, the court did not order me one. They
Why
said,
not?
I have no idea. They just said that, okay, well, are you willing to take care of this baby if it is or not yours? I said yes. So therefore, no paternity test still, but I am...
Did you ask for a paternity test?
Yes, Your Honor. And they didn't really do anything about it.
He actually filled out the paperwork and everything.
In
They
the
were
courts.
served to me in court when we had our custody hearing.
Oh, fine. Very good. So right now there has been no legal adjudication of paternity. Is that right? Because you haven't had the paternity test.
Exactly.
Your Honor,
okay.
they made him sign a paper that said that that he didn't have to take a paternity test, that Basically, when we went to court on May 18th, they were granting him he was the father without the paternity test.
Is that what they did?
Yes.
That was very stupid on your part. Mr. Clausen, I'd always take a paternity test, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
You never can tell.
But that little girl is my whole life. I love her more than anything in the world.
Great. Listen to me. Did you live together?
Yes, Your Honor, we did.
For how long?
4 years?
2 years.
Was it 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years at our other house in 6 months, so 3, 2.5, almost 3. We were together for a while.
Is this your son? If you can have a paternity test, if you were my son, I would say have one. Giving you my good advice. That's the last thing of good advice you're going to get from me. You left the television in the entertainment center with her for 14 months, sir.
I did, and I kick myself in the butt for it every day.
But you had an agreement.
But the other thing was that if she was to move out, I would be able to get it back. And she says, well, it comes in a package. If you take me back, then I get her and the TV back.
And?
And I don't want that deal.
Why not, sir?
Because he'd rather have a 17-year-old girlfriend.
Shh. Don't interrupt again.
Sorry.
I let you slide with the outfit, not with the conduct. Go ahead.
Because, Your Honor, it's just how I've caught her at some guy's house, and it's just wrong, and I don't want to have that lifestyle.
Well, very good. You see why I suggested you get a paternity test, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You went and bought clothes on his Sears account for yourself?
I did buy things for the baby.
You didn't. According to you, you bought cami things for you. Cami in white, cami in pink. Maybe this
shirt to be exact.
And later today.
Miss Bass, you got to understand something. You may waltz around me, but ultimately, I'm going to get to the truth.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Justin Clausen says the mother of his daughter, Tiffany Harem, owes for the return of property and credit card charges made without his permission.
Now, you get a paternity test, sir. What you don't get is a television and an entertainment center that you left there for 14 months. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Madam, you could sit down.
Thank you.
Get over the television and get over the entertainment center. After 14 months, they're abandoned property. You left them there. I assume that your daughter is watching the television set? The one that you left?
No, it's in storage. It's sitting in storage.
Is that sitting in storage?
No, it's not, Your Honor.
Where is it?
It's in my house. In my bedroom, to be exact.
If you would like to call her father would say that it's in the storage. It's underneath his name.
I'm not calling her father. I'm telling you, get over it. Thus far, the order was that she has custody and you have visitation and everything is nice, even though custody didn't end up the way you wanted it to end up, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
That doesn't mean that you try to exacerbate an otherwise relatively calm situation by filing a small claims court 14 months after the fact for a television set.
Well, that was
It's
not
stupid.
That was not the only thing, though. She went to Sears and purchased some stuff on my credit card.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Here's the receipt.
You went and bought clothes on his Sears account for yourself?
It's in my name as well, Your Honor.
I don't care if it's on your name. Did you discuss it with him first?
No, it's my credit card, too.
Your Honor,
Who's paying the bill?
We both paid the bill.
No.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I paid the bill before he moved out for over 2 years.
I'm talking about now. This sales
and I offered
check
to pay him.
Is dated March 11th, 2005. Well, why all of a sudden did you start using this credit card?
I went one time and...
Well, you have to pay for it.
Because I feel that I have paid my fair share of all of his credit cards, and I have them here.
Listen to me very carefully, madam. I have no counterclaim. All I have is somebody who, after a year and a half, went in and used a credit card just to give him one of these zingers, knowing that you weren't going to pay the bill and he was going to get stuck with it. And I would feel a little bit more compassionate towards you if you bought things for the baby. But you didn't.
I did buy things for the baby, Your
You
Honor.
didn't. According to you, you bought cami things for you. Cami in white, cami in pink. Maybe this one.
Shirt, to be exact.
That you get paid for. So a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $204.81. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's a good dad. He was there all through my pregnancy and, and still is for her.
I will continue being a great father.
We were very young. We've been together for a long time, 6 years.
For her, she'll probably keep being a good mother.
We had a lot of growing to do. We're different people now than we were, but definitely still both good people.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bass versus Harpster, step forward, please.
21-year-old Justine Bass is suing her boyfriend's half-brother, 26-year-old Timothy Harpster, for stealing her car. Timothy says the car was in his name.
All right, Miss Bass. This gentleman was your boyfriend's brother. Still your boyfriend?
Yes.
This is the boyfriend?
Yes.
Were you all living together?
Yes.
And according to your complaint, you had a car.
Mm-hmm.
Your insurance was very expensive.
Correct.
Why was your insurance so expensive?
Because I was only 20, so my insurance was really high. And my policy was about to expire, so Tim had given the offer to put it in his name.
Okay. It's your car, and you're going to be driving it.
Primarily, yes.
And in order to get cheaper insurance, you signed the car over to him.
Not only that. We were all living together, and Tim's car was about to get taken because he didn't pay on it, so I was driving his and he was driving mine. And we would all be driving each other's cars, and so he had to put it in his name.
So then it was really all of your car. Everybody paid their fair share of gas and maintenance on it and everything else?
No, I paid the maintenance.
Everybody paid gas for the car?
Well, what we drove, we put in gas and stuff, and I
You're not, Miss Bass, you got to understand something. You may waltz around me, but ultimately, I'm going to get to the truth.
Okay.
You understand?
Sure.
What you did was defraud the insurance company. That was your intent.
No.
Your intent was, oh yes, your intent was that it was really your car, because that's why you're here. That's why you're here. It was really your car. You put it in his name for insurance purposes, because if he took out the insurance, it would be cheaper. And then, when you all had a falling out, he took the car, and you want your car back. That's what the case is about. So it wasn't all of your cars, it was your car. That's what you're suing for, right?
Right.
Okay. So what you really did was, when you put the car in his name, which he acknowledges, and he acknowledges that it was put in your name for insurance purposes, right?
Yes.
You didn't pay her anything for the car, did you?
No.
She didn't make you a present of the car, did she?
No.
It was put in your name for one reason only, to defraud the insurance company, right?
Yes.
Now, when did you stop living together?
In February.
Who moved out?
I did.
What'd you do with the car?
Well, it sat at the house. I moved out on the 1st of February, and shortly after that, Justine, my brother, I guess, moved out of the house.
When?
As of, I think it was March, around March 1st.
When did you move out?
We moved out on March 1st.
And?
I actually had some problems with Justine and my brother trying to get some of the things, my belongings, back out of the house. Finally, I did get to pick up the motorcycle that was left in the garage.
I don't care about your things. That's not for me,
Right.
sir. What happened to the car?
Like I said, we had gotten into some arguments and things. I didn't take the car until almost the end of March. The car was left at the house.
In the old house?
Yeah, they actually moved out and didn't take the car with them.
Is that right?
And it sat
We
there.
couldn't. The title was not in my name, and it would be considered stolen, and the cops would have been called, and I would have gotten in trouble.
So you left the car there?
Had to.
So you left the car there?
Yes.
After you moved out on March 1st, when did you contact him?
For what?
For your car back.
I had tried calling him, and he wouldn't answer the phone. Tom had tried calling him, and he wouldn't speak to us. And so...
He wanted some stuff from the house.
He already got it.
What'd you do with the car, Mr. Harpster?
I sold it, actually.
To whom?
A friend of mine.
Show me. Show me proof that you sold it.
I don't even have proof, but I did, though.
When did you sell it?
3 weeks ago. Actually, I didn't even have a problem with giving them back the title for their car. I didn't want their car. I could care less about that car, but when I asked them for the rest of the things back, such as the key for the motorcycle that was left in the garage, they started a big problem. So
you sold the car?
No, not necessarily.
How much did you get for it?
$900.
What year car was it?
92 Acura.
How many miles did it have on it?
117,000.
Can I get the blue book on a 1992 Acura? Bird, it's a hatchback.
Yes.
Let's put it in fair condition, please.
What kind of car is it?
Integra GSR.
It wasn't a GSR. It was a GS.
GS.
Fair condition, 1625.
Could I take a look? That's the G. You have to teach me how to do this thing.
She has an Integra. There's the Integra list. 92, Acura.
Right, a GS.
Right, and then the GS. And then she has a GS hatchback. So 1625 on fair condition.
Your Honor.
What is it, sir?
As Tim's saying, that car is a GS. The GSR was it was a special edition. It was a only came in the hatchback. The car was a hatchback. If he had the title.
Only a difference of $100, sir. Listen, you have to consider yourself very, very lucky that I'm even considering any part of your claim, because usually when people come into a court with not clean hands, I throw them out.
I understand what you were saying as far as the defrauding insurance company, but the fact is that Tim was primarily driving that car. His car was often parked.
Let me explain something to you. You want me to read you what your girlfriend said in her complaint?
Well, I've read it.
You want me to read
myself.
you? Okay. The insurance policy on my car was about to expire, and Tim said he could put it on his policy so that I could get a cheaper rate. That's why she says that you put the car in his name, to get a cheaper rate. That's fraud on the insurance company, sir. Any way you slice it. You're very, very fortunate that I'm considering any part of your claim. Certainly not worth $2,800. I don't believe that you got $900 for it. I'm not even sure that it's still not sitting in your driveway someplace.
No, it isn't. I did sell it.
And you sold it because you were angry over your property.
No, actually, I sold it because I asked them, I would have gave them the car back. Yes, I was upset about my property.
So why don't you just say yes?
Yes, I was upset about that.
Instead of excuses. So you were angry that they wouldn't give you the key to your motorcycle and the other things that you want. You said, I'm speaking. So you said, car's in my name, and this, according to your answer, you said I could do whatever I want with it.
Plus
That's what you
also
said.
it was left there, yes.
That's what you said. Car's in my name, I can do whatever I want with it. Right?
Yes.
Your Honor, we did leave the car there, but what were we supposed to do? Remove the car?
You were supposed to do exactly what you did now, sir, which is immediately go to small claims court there and have a case that was heard sometime the beginning of March. That's what you're supposed to do.
Well, I was also speaking to other family members of mine, my brother Jim, who is an older brother than both of us. He was also speaking to Tim because we are family and we didn't want to have to resort to this, you know.
But ultimately you did.
Had to.
That's we had taken everything else we could. And
judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. This way, sir.
He said he was going
to... She never agreed to pay.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 546 on the calendar in the matter of Newsom versus Harris. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Stand over there, please. Your last name is what?
Crispin, C-R-I-S-P-I-N.
Mr. Crispin, I think that you're an integral part of this case, which is why I asked you to stand up with Miss Harris. Uncross your arms, please. Miss Newsom, I'm going to try to set up what I believe is the family tree here so that we all understand it. You have a child who is 7 years old.
Correct.
Mr. Crispin, I assume, is the father of that child.
Correct.
Miss Harris is his current girlfriend. Is that right?
That's correct.
Do you have any children together?
No, we do not.
It is your claim that Miss Harris called you around holiday time last year and asked if you would do them a favor. Mr. Crispin wanted to take the child that you share, your son, to visit his family over the holidays. And Miss Harris was calling to find out if you would rent a car using your credit card so that he could take Miss Harris, I assume, or not Miss Harris, just your son and himself to visit his family over the holidays. Miss Harris was doing that because she wanted to make him happy.
Probably.
And she said they didn't have a credit card. Would you rent the car in your name and she would pay you?
Correct.
And she even gave you a check for $250 for the deposit.
Correct.
And you said?
Well, I told her that I would go on and rent the car
based on the fact that she asked me, not because of him, and plus because of my son.
Okay. Now, did you get along with Miss Harris?
Yes.
Excuse me, Judge.
What?
Do me a favor. Take your hands out of your pants, please.
How should I be standing
Just
like
stand
this?
with your hand. Just stand with your hands to your side.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bert. You get along with Miss Harris?
Yeah, she was cool. We was pleasant. I got
And when
along.
your son goes to visit,
Exactly.
she's nice to him?
She
so you got
called
along.
and checked up to see how he was doing and everything. Exactly.
Perfect. But I assume you don't get along with Mr. Crispin that well?
No, I do not.
So you said you would rent the car for her?
Exactly.
Now, how did she get this check to you?
Well, we met up at Key Bank, and she gave me the check, deposited it into my account.
And then where did you go?
Then we went to the rental car place at the airport.
And on what date did you rent the car?
It was Christmas Eve, December 24th.
So what happened next?
After we rented the car, I got insurance on the car because I knew that I was not going to be the one driving the car, that he was, because my car insurance paid for rental cars. So we rode up the street off Seltzer Road. We exchanged. I gave him.
Did they have him listed as a driver?
No, they didn't. No.
Why not?
Because we
Don't
didn't
they
set
usually
it up.
do that?
That's the way it's supposed to be done.
That's the way it's supposed to be done. But we didn't do it that way.
So you did it the wrong way?
Yes.
In the contract that you signed, didn't they say, are you the only driver?
Well, they asked was I the only driver.
And you wrote down yes. So what happened next?
After we departed ways, went home, and I rented the car for a week. Just in case he didn't make it back due to traffic or the weather or whatever. I rented the car for a week. And April had agreed when she gave me the check for the $250, she had agreed that she would hook up with me Friday so she could give me the rest of the money on the rental car.
How much was the entire rental car?
The entire rental car for the week was like $431.
Okay.
Okay. So I called her Thursday. And I said, April, are we going to meet up Friday? And she was like, well, I have a meeting at my job, so let's do it Saturday. I said, what time? I said, I'll base my schedule around yours. She said, around 12. I said, okay, fine. I gave her till 1:06. Called the house. She did not answer the phone. So then I said, okay. So then I called back later. I said, April, she answered the phone. I was like, April, what's going on? Are you going to meet me to get the money? Well, Jeffrey's not back. I said, what does Jeffrey being back have to do with you giving me the money for the car? She said, well, I can't get to the bank. I said, well, April, he has the rental car. He doesn't have your car, so he's not going to be using your car. He's out of town. And she said, well, I have to wait till Jeffrey get back. I said, okay, fine. I said, well, you know that the car is supposed to have been turned back today. And I said, if the car goes any longer, you're going to be responsible for paying those extra days. She said, well, I know, but I'm not. She said, I don't have an ATM card, and I need to go to the bank, but I can't go to the bank until Monday because I don't have an ATM card.
Did she ever give you the money?
No, she didn't.
What happened with the $250 check?
Well, she gave me the check for the $250. I deposited it into my account. A few days later, I received a letter from my bank, which is right here, stating, please find and enclose a copy of the 12/24/2002 deposit of $250, which has been returned unpaid due to the account is closed. As a result, we have deducted this amount from your account along with a $20 return deposit fee.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Pay no attention to what he's saying to you, madam. I want you to understand this. You don't want me to make you look foolish, do you? You know I have that capacity to do that if you're lying to me.
And later today,
Why in the world, Mr. Peterson, would you come to court and say, I, in effect, committed statutory rape, and I'm here to ask her for rent?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. LaVonda Newsom claims her ex-boyfriend's current girlfriend, April Harris, owes for a loan to rent a car. April says LaVonda should be suing her ex.
Okay. Okay, Miss Harris. I know there are a couple of other smaller issues with regard to gas in the car and that sort of stuff, but I would like to hear your version of these events, madam.
Okay. Granted, she was called to ask to rent the car for Jeffrey. Okay? She told me that she needed an extra $250 to show for a deposit in the...
Now, just a second. She called you? Or
she had informed me when she was calling the rental car companies.
I want to know how you got to the rental car company. Did you call her and ask her to rent this car?
I just said that. I
Well,
said
let's go a
after
little
I spoke
slower.
to her. Okay.
Let's go a little slower.
I called her.
You called her for what purpose?
To see if she would help me rent Jeffrey a car. Jeffrey was wanting to go home to Alabama for Christmas. She had told me that the amount of the rental required a $250 deposit. I told her that I would give her a check for $250. However, that check will not clear my bank. She said that was fine. I told her, and she did know, that if it's a deposit, that she would get the deposit back for the rental.
Why didn't you rent a car for Jeffrey?
My credit card was maxed out at the time. It was Christmas. And this was a
So,
last
Miss
minute
Harris,
thing.
listen to me carefully.
I'm listening.
So, Miss Newsom is correct when she says that you called and asked to rent a car for your boyfriend using her credit card because you couldn't use yours. This was going to be a gift for him from you, right?
For the both.
I didn't ask you a thing.
Actually,
this was going to be a gift from you for Jeffrey.
Yes.
All right.
However, sir, ma'am, I do apologize for that, Your Honor.
Just a second.
Per my understanding.
Don't tell me what your understanding was. Don't pay no attention to what he's saying to you, madam. I want you to understand this. You don't want me to make you look foolish, do you? You know I have that capacity to do that if you're lying to me. You understand that?
Yes.
You don't want to look foolish in front of a whole bunch of people, including Bird. So you called her and said, I want to rent a car for Jeffrey as a gift for him. But I don't have a credit card. Can we use yours? Which is pretty much what she said. Is that right?
Not in the same language that you just
I don't
spoke
care
back
what
in
language it was. That
well,
was
if you
the
want me to tell
understanding.
you what happened, then I would be more than happy to tell you my side. But that would require me speaking.
Around Christmas, according to your answer that you swore to, Miss Newsom, that's her, wanted to rent a car for the holidays but lacked the $250 deposit. That's what you swore to in your answer, but that wasn't true. You called her to rent a car for him.
Per my understanding, they had already spoke about renting a car to go down there.
True. And she already
She needed
knew.
an extra $250 deposit.
She knew about the
No.
check and everything.
No.
She knew.
I didn't speak to you.
Well, the truth ain't been told here.
Did you hear? Did you hear me? I didn't speak to you.
I understand that.
Good, then sit down.
I'll do so. I'm tired of standing.
Good. I know, you probably work very hard.
I do.
No, he don't.
I do.
You do?
He don't.
Really? How much child support does he pay?
He doesn't pay me. He's been sworn. He
need to
doesn't
check
pay
the
me.
mail.
Okay, question. I'm going to answer your question. 0. How much? 0.
Could take some of his gold, maybe we can sell it.
Exactly.
Listen! Your answer, Miss Harris, says she wanted to rent a car but lacked $250. Now, what doesn't make sense is for her to want to do something nice for Jeffrey. Do you understand? I don't even know Jeffrey, and I wouldn't want to do anything nice for him for Christmas.
Exactly.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. LaVonda Newsom claims her ex-boyfriend's current girlfriend, April Harris, owes for a loan to rent a car. April says LaVonda should be suing her ex.
Did he have a good time over the holiday?
I don't think so. I don't know.
You don't live together anymore?
Yes, we still do.
So when he came back, you didn't say to him, honey, did you have a good time?
No, because all of this was just too much drama filled. In other words, I was trying to do a good deed, and I'm the one who got snipped
A
in the
good
butt
deed for whom?
For him, and per my understanding for her, because her daughter was going away with her father for Christmas, so she was going, Quavon was going with Jeffrey. So basically, all in the matter is to settle things, to make everything just copacetic for Christmas. Her daughter's going to be with her father. Quavon would have been with Jeffrey. She would have been on for Christmas. I would have been on for Christmas. The check was given. She was aware of that, okay?
I'm talking about who called whom. You called her.
They called
and
both.
according to you, said to her, would you do this for me because I don't have a credit card that I can use? That's what you said to her.
Pretty much, because she was calling wanting to know if Jeffrey would be able to take their son, or is Jeffrey still going to take their son to Alabama?
Exactly.
And
Is
I
he
said, I'm
still?
not sure yet, because Jeffrey, until the last moment, did not say he really wanted to go until Christmas Eve.
But you had made the arrangement before Christmas Eve to rent the car for him, is that right?
Not with her, no.
He called me a week prior.
What date did you call her to rent the car?
I think it was the day before New Year's Eve, which was
The
the
day,
23rd.
not New Year's Eve, you mean Christmas?
The day before, which would have been the 23rd of December.
So I'm saying to you, you said he didn't make up his mind that he wanted to go until Christmas Eve, but you had spoken to her before.
No, I didn't speak to her until that day.
A day prior is before.
A day before.
Well, yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Give her money, $600. Judgment for the plaintiff. Goodbye. Hope you enjoy him.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Whatever the situation may be, she should have went at him. So obviously there's some type of vendetta, but she got her money, so she has no reason to call my house. She has no reason to bother me whatsoever. So I hope she just gets to life and get on with herself.
Even though she told me I should have got it from Jeffrey, but I wouldn't have rented the car if Jeffrey would have came to me and asked me for the car. I did it for the sake of her and my son because she came to me because me and her was cool.
She wanted me to take my son out of town. She wanted to go do whatever she wanted to do, and that's case closed, you know?
My son is going to be, he's the one that's going to basically be out of it due to the fact I'm not letting him see his dad due to the fact his dad don't pay child support.
That ain't got nothing to do with this here. You running business all out like that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Peterson versus Matheson. Step forward, please.
21-year-old equipment operator Edward Peterson is suing the mother of his underage ex-girlfriend, healthcare provider Sherry Matheson, for unpaid rent. Sherry claims, in lieu of rent, she did housework.
Mr. Peterson, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for rent. Owes you for rent for herself and her daughter when they lived with you in a shared house and you were all on a lease.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Matheson says there was never an agreement that she was going to pay you rent. Mr. Peterson, when did you lease this house and who lived there?
I began the lease on this house, I believe it was the 4th of October of last year, and the initial parties that moved in were myself, Sherry, her daughter Amber, and Sherry's boyfriend Dan.
Now, in reading these papers, it is intimated in these papers that Amber, that's the daughter, was your girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And how old are you, sir?
I'm 21 years old.
And how old was Amber when she moved in?
I found out that she was 16.
Amber was 16.
Now, I was at the
Wait,
time...
shh. Okay, what you know. Amber was 16 at the time, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how many bedrooms were in this house?
It was a 2-bedroom townhome.
I assume that Miss Matheson, who moved in with her boyfriend, and your boyfriend's name is?
Dan.
Dan, shared one bedroom.
Yes, ma'am.
And you shared another bedroom with Amber?
Yes, ma'am.
With her mother's consent?
Yes.
Shame on you. Big time. How many months did that arrangement continue?
That arrangement continued for 2 months, and at the end of the 2nd month, I had not received any money from Amber or her mother for the
Amber
rent.
wasn't going to pay you any money, sir. Was that the arrangement, that Amber pay you money?
The arrangement was that everybody pays their own portion of the rent. There were 4 of us living
Amber
there.
can't pay her portion of the rent because Amber's a minor. Right?
Correct.
So how much was her mother supposed to pay?
Let's see. Her mother would have paid the $312 for herself per month, and the agreement was that she would also pay the $312 for her daughter, which would be $650 or $625.
Bull. Bull. There's no way that Miss Matheson said to you, "You're sleeping with my daughter in your bedroom, and I'm going to pay her rent." You're lucky you're not in jail, sir. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Your lawsuit is the height of chutzpah. Why you would expose yourself is absolutely beyond me. Are you still in this apartment?
Yes, I am.
So why in the world, Mr. Peterson, would you come to court and say, I, in effect, depending upon the jurisdiction where I lived, committed statutory rape, and I'm here to ask her for rent?
The reason is, Your Honor, because for the months of December, January, February, and March, I was laid off from my job.
Yes.
And I needed their portion of the rent to help cover the bills of the townhome help cover the rent and utility bills, which is the whole reason we're in court.
All right, Miss Matheson, you tell me. I mean, because I'm not too fond of you either. I want to explain that to you. I think as a mother, you are a jerk. But you want to explain to me, madam, what you claim this rent arrangement was?
When we agreed to move in together, he said that he would take care of Amber's portion of the rent and everything.
Of course he did.
And he said, Dan will end up taking care of yours. And he said, and with you doing the laundry and the cleaning and always had meals fixed and everything, he said, that'll take care of yours.
And then what happened to
and
Dan?
I always put money in and paid because I always had money coming in.
From what?
From my savings account in Kansas. And then I had child support.
Did your ex-husband know what these living arrangements were in this house?
Yeah, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about his daughter at all.
That's lovely to hear. I think you people all deserve each other. Except you. The case is dismissed, sir. You're lucky you're not in jail. You don't have any other children, do you?
Mm-mm.
Perfect.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
You know, I really feel that, they were living with me, they took advantage of me.
There's no way. I'm pregnant with his baby. He knows it's his.
I don't believe that I am. And if it does come that I am the father, I will take care of it.
If the child is his, he's gonna pay child support. I don't know about if we're gonna go to court for visitation or not.
All I was here for was just to collect the rent money that I feel is owed to me.
Don't trust people that you've just known a few days or a few weeks, a few months. Be sure you know them through and through before you go and do anything stupid.
Her money when she returns the engagement ring.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Now, this is case number 574 on the calendar in the matter of Klein versus Collier. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Klein, the defendant is your former fiancé who you claim owes you for a car loan.
Yes.
A loan which was taken out in your name. He signed a note, according to you. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
He was paying the note, I assume, for a period of time, and then
Yes,
when
he
you
did.
broke up, he stopped paying the car loan. You want that. In addition, you want some miscellaneous expenses that you had to incur in order to get him out of your apartment. The defendant, Mr. Collier, says that you have the engagement ring worth $3,000, you have his motorcycle worth some more money, and that you agreed that when you separated, it would be sort of a clean slate, and there wouldn't be any debts. Is that your defense, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's start with the car loan. You acknowledge the loan.
Yes.
How much is left on the loan?
$4,800 and some change.
Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So you tell me, Mr. Collier, why you believe you are not responsible for this loan.
Well, I felt, Mrs. Judge Judy, that when we got engaged February 8th and that everything was going good, and that Wednesday, for some reason, she starts freaking out, calling my gym, seeing if I'm at the gym or not. And so I come home and say, what's going on? She goes, I just want to believe that you really love me. And I said, well, Christine, why did you take the ring and start acting like this? Then that Thursday, she went through my cell phone bill, called a couple of friends, asked if we had sexual relationships. And, they said no. One told her yeah, and said that, we did 3 times, and I tried to tell her we didn't. And the girl goes to my gym. So then I said, we can't do this anymore. Let's get our own, I'll get my own apartment, I'll move out. She agreed with that. She actually was gonna sign for me to get the apartment because we didn't know if I would be able to get it in my name. We went out and looked that day. They turned me down when they saw my credit. Then we went through another week.
And were you still living together?
Yeah, we're still together. She asked me to stay away from home as much as I can. So I said, okay, no problem. I would stay at the gym as long as I could. Come home, I was sleeping on the sofa. So then we went through that week. The 21st came up. We went to a Laker game together, having fun, drinking. Everything was going good still. I think, okay, I'll get my own apartment. We'll try to make it work. If we can't, we can't. That Saturday, we both get up to go to the gym. She goes to her gym, I go to my gym. She goes, are you going to take the dogs for a walk? I said, yeah, I am. She goes, well, I'll go with you guys. We went for a walk. I went off to the gym. I said, I'll be home at 12. We'll go look for an apartment. I get home. There was 2 officers there with my stuff outside. I didn't know what to say. And I just stood there. And then they said, you have an hour to get it out of here. And then when we talked about me moving in the first place.
Don't go back. Don't go backwards.
Okay. Well,
Mr. Collier, don't go backwards. Just go forwards.
Okay.
So we are now, your stuff is in a U-Haul.
Right.
Okay, good. Where's the engagement ring?
I exchanged it for earrings because it was on my credit card. I was solely
It was
responsible
on
to
my
pay
credit
for
card.
it.
I have the receipt right here.
Yeah, but it's under my name. I'm paying for it. And he actually had the nerve to ask for me to give him the ring back so he could pawn it for money to move out. So I'll pay for my ring twice.
1 second. He signed for it.
Right, because he had a credit card on my account. My mistake.
Is this her credit card, sir?
It was, well, I was on there, yes.
This is her credit card.
It's, yeah.
Listen to me. I have a question for you, Mr.
Okay, go ahead.
It's her credit card. She gave you an additional card as an additional card holder.
Right.
When was the engagement ring purchased?
February 8th.
March 1st. Did you make a payment on the credit card?
No, I didn't.
There you go. Who did you expect to pay the credit card bill?
Well, I was going to pay the credit. Christine.
But you didn't.
But Judge Judy.
So right now, so listen to me, sir.
Okay.
Your defense to this $4,800 car loan is that she kept the engagement ring. That's
Right.
one. But she's paying for the engagement ring.
Right.
You're not.
Right.
So you don't get a credit for that, sir.
But
you
we
understand?
took-
You don't get a credit for the thought. You get a credit for the money. It was nice of you to buy it, but you also have to pay for it. You didn't pay for it, you don't get it back. Clear?
Yes.
What's the next thing? The next thing you wrote down here is shouldn't have to pay for something because she has your motorcycle. Tell me about the motorcycle.
Motorcycle, she signed for it. For 4 months, I made payments on the bike.
Hold on.
And insurance.
Hold on a second. Motorcycle, purchased when?
10/12, 2002.
How much was it purchased for?
With tax and license, I don't know, 13, 12, something.
$13, $12 or
$1,000.
Let's say $12,000.
12,000.
She took out the loan for it.
She didn't take out any loans on it. She just signed for it. I
What
paid
do you
all
mean?
the payments on it.
Shh, listen to me carefully. You made 4 payments on
Four,
it, you said.
yes.
Shh, listen to me carefully. Shh. I want you to be quiet. Okay. Trying to get a point across to him. You made 4 payments on it.
Yes.
Each payment was how much?
$250 plus with insurance.
I'm just talking about the payments.
$200
okay?
for the payments.
$200 for the payment. So you made a total of $800. Miss Klein, I want you to be quiet. I want you to stand still and just be quiet. So you made $800 in payments
Yes.
on a $12,000 motorcycle.
Right.
She has the motorcycle.
Yeah, I don't know where it is now.
She has it.
Yes.
You don't know where it is.
No.
You don't have it.
No.
Who is obligated to pay the $12,000 for the bicycle, you or Miss Klein?
Miss Klein.
So she has back the ring, which she made into earrings, because she doesn't want your ring, but she's paying for it. So that's not a credit towards the $4,800 you owe her for the car. She has the motorcycle, which she is obligated to pay $12,000 for, because she signed for it, and you made 4 payments of $200 each, and I assume you drove the motorcycle for 4 months. Is that right?
Well, when it was nice out.
I don't care whether you drove it
Well,
in the
yeah,
rain or in a blizzard, sir.
Well,
You had
yeah,
it.
I rode it.
You had it. You rode it. You used it. You paid $200 a month for the use of it, right? Forget it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She changed her mind.
She changed her mind. But then she filed this claim
just a
saying that
second.
she asked me for the money.
She changed her mind, sir. She decided that you weren't as good as she thought you were.
And later today,
She was a friend of yours, and she said, you can come and stay in my house, take care of my dog. While you were there, babysitting for the house and the dog ate your dentures.
Yes.
Right?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christine Klein says ex-fiancé Ricky Collier owes for an unpaid car loan. She also says she's keeping the engagement ring because she's the one who paid for it.
Why else don't you owe her for the car loan, sir?
Because we had an agreement that if I go on my own, she knew that I couldn't afford an apartment on my own, that she would take the loss on all the bills that we had together.
Why would she do that for you?
But that's what she said. And I said, are you sure you want to do that, Christine? She said, yes, I'll get another loan to pay off everything. That's what she said to me.
Well, why would somebody want to do that for you, Mr. Collier?
Judge Judy, that's what she said to me. I talked to her and I said, Christine, are you sure you want to do that?
She changed her mind.
She changed her mind. I totally
That's
understand
what women do.
Yeah,
That's what women do. They change their mind.
I understand that.
She decided you weren't as good as she thought. I'm speaking.
But then she files this claim saying that
second.
she asked me for the money. And
Listen
she
to
never,
me.
we haven't talked since the 21st.
Mr. Collier, Didn't you notice my mouth moving, sir?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Judge Judy.
She changed her mind, sir. She decided that you weren't as good as she thought you were. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
She wants her money back. Miss Klein, I know that you want to get into how you had to get bodyguards and hire people to get him out of your apartment. That's not my problem. Don't visit it on me. Visit on me only the fact that he owes you $4,800 for the car. Now, you both agree that that's what's left on the loan? Is that right?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,800. Thank you very much. Go have a happy life.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm clueless as to why he's clueless, as to why he was kicked out when he was abusing me back since July of last year.
She probably felt like I was going to get angry if she kicked me out.
He's a master manipulator and an abuser, and I fell into the trap.
Because I have the tendency to get angry.
I'm just glad to be free and away from him at this point.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Romine versus Gauthier. Step forward, please.
Child care provider Karen Romine is suing her former friend, realtor Dolores Gauthier, for the cost of her dentures. Karen says, while pet sitting for Dolores, her dog ate them.
Miss Romaine, you were house sitting for the defendant and pet sitting, is that right?
Yes, I was.
Had you done that before?
No.
Were you doing it as a neighbor, as a friend, or were you being paid?
As a friend. I think she was trying to get me out of the house where my daughter and I were sharing a house, and I have four grandkids then. Kind of for sanity ways.
And what?
For my own mental.
For your sanity. So she was a friend of yours, and she said, you can come and stay in my house, take care of my dog, take care of my house while I'm on vacation, give you a little bit of a break. Is that right?
Yes.
And your complaint is that while you were there babysitting for the house and the dog ate your dentures.
Yes.
Right? Shh. And these dentures you had placed up on counter.
Yes.
Dog jumped up and chewed them. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Romaine, whose fault is that?
I guess it could be mine. I thought the counter was high enough where the dog couldn't reach him.
When you say, I guess it could be mine, she was on vacation, right?
Yes.
So it couldn't be hers. You can't sue the dog. So what are we doing here?
Well, I thought it would be her responsibility since I was watching the dog. Yeah, and
No, you're supposed to take responsibility for your own actions. Miss Romaine, you answered right the first time, which is what surprised me about your lawsuit to begin with. She's on vacation. You agree to watch the dog. You're watching the dog, and you were supposed to watch and take care of your own property. The fact that you miscalculated and let the dog get a hold of your property and destroyed it doesn't make her responsible. Makes you responsible. So you got to take care of your own business, right?
You're right.
Perfect. Good. Then we don't have to bother each other any further. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It went well?
It was quick.
I came home from vacation and she showed me a baggie with her teeth in them.
Your dog ate my teeth.
Well, I felt bad, but I felt she was negligent.
We're still friends.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Montgomery versus McCarthy. Step forward, please.
25-year-old student Brandy Montgomery is suing small business owner Caitlin McCarthy for having her falsely arrested. Caitlin says Brandy charged at her swinging a keychain.
Well, quite frankly, I read both your complaint and answer in this case, and I really am quite confused. The best I can come up with is that, Miss Montgomery, it is your claim that the defendant filed a false police report and had you arrested for assault.
Yes.
Those charges were ultimately dismissed. You say they were false to begin with. Ms. McCarthy says that you did, in fact, hit her with a set of keys. Is that
Yes.
right? How do you know each other? I couldn't even figure that out from the papers.
Ma'am, her friend was my roommate, and that's how we met.
Now, you say it was a friend of your roommate. Who's your roommate?
Our roommate was Dakota. Her name was Dakota.
She lived with you and your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
Until when?
That day she was moving out was that day. The reason she was moving out is because we were not getting along. So she had decided to move out, and we were moving out a couple days after that.
Go ahead.
I had met her once when I first moved in with Dakota, which was the roommate, and then again on the day of the incident.
All right, well, I'd like you to tell me your version of what happened on the day of the incident, which was when?
It was on July 28th. I have a police report right here. Would you like?
I'd like to see it. Come on, start talking.
Sorry. My husband and I got home from picking him up from work. We go downstairs to where we live, which is like a two-story condo type place. We go downstairs. I decide to go to the store, so I go back up
So I go upstairs, I saw the defendant in the driveway, I walk past her, I do not say any words to her, I get in my car, I drive away, I go to the store, I come back from the store, and there's sheriffs, there's about 4 sheriff cars in the driveway. I park my car, walk towards my driveway, I get arrested.
And that's all you know?
That's all I know.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 25-year-old student Brandy Montgomery is suing small business owner Caitlin McCarthy for having her falsely arrested. Caitlin says Brandy charged at her swinging a keychain.
All right, Miss McCarthy, now I'll hear you.
Judge, I didn't know either Dakota except for that day. I have never met the plaintiff before the day of incident. I was asked by a friend to come and help her move. She said she needed to move very quickly because there was some back rent due. The landlord wanted the money and she didn't have it.
Who's the friend?
The friend is Beverly. She lives in Nevada, but she had introduced us.
Beverly, but nobody connected with the plaintiff.
No, I don't know any of these people.
Beverly is somebody that is not involved in this case other than the fact that Beverly asked you to go and move Dakota.
Correct. That's correct.
So you were actually in the plaintiff's apartment,
yes, ma'am,
helping Dakota move.
Yes.
Oh, well, now I understand.
Yes.
Go ahead.
We had moved for a couple of hours, been packing boxes. In fact, the plaintiff did come with her husband back to the house while we were moving. So I'm helping her move, and I was in the kitchen, I was packing things, kitchen items, and Brandy walked in with her husband. They were very agitated, started to go through boxes, opening them to see what was in them. I thought, well, she might be afraid that something was being taken, right?
Right.
She came over to me where I was packing, and she bumped into me, knocked me into the box that I was packing. She was very aggressive, and she opened up the box, started to dig through.
Did you say anything to her? Did she say anything to you?
Not a thing. She didn't even say, I'm Brandy. She didn't say anything. She just did this act. I saw the agitation. I was in damage control. I thought, I don't know what's going on with these two, but I'm just going to let her look. I did. She went out, went away. A few minutes later, I went out to the garage. I went to get another box. Upon returning...
And you were doing this as a favor to Beverly?
Yes.
Why?
Yes. Well, she's a very good friend of mine, and I just...
And how did she know Dakota?
I have no idea how they met, but I had something to do with their work. And she didn't have anybody there. That was the thing. She had no family, no friends. She hadn't been there very long. And so Beverly said, this girl needs help. She needs to move out today because she had surrendered the property to the landlords for non-payment. So I went over to help. She had hired some other help as well. So we were all moving, and this incident took place. I went out to the garage. I came back from the garage with a box in my hand, and Brandy stood in front of me, blocking my path to the kitchen. I didn't know what her reason to confront me was, since I didn't know her or what was going on.
Did you say anything to her?
I didn't say anything to her first. She said something to me.
What did she say?
Well, she was swinging her keys, and she had a hand on her hip and was very agitated with me, and I didn't know why. And she said, I'm not moving, and there's not a thing you can do about it. I don't know why that would matter to me, whether she moved or didn't. I was there to help Dakota get out, and I didn't know what all these incidences were between them. I said to her, well, whatever, but you need to let me pass so we can move. I went ahead and started to move, and she was swinging her keys. She advanced on me, and the key came right to my face as she was swinging it. All I did was pull my face back, and it just grazed my chin. I decided that was pretty aggressive for me. I didn't know whether, it was going to escalate.
Aggressive?
So I went and I called the police on my cell phone.
Okay, back to you.
These are the keys, ma'am. If I swung these keys around and hit somebody with them, they would leave a pretty giant mark.
Not necessarily. I believe her. I have to make a judgment.
Correct.
She tells a very simplistic story. Can you think of a reason, Miss Montgomery, that Miss McCarthy, you didn't know her, according to both of you?
Mm-hmm.
Think of a reason why she would call the police on you.
She knew that Dakota and I had gotten into it, and the police had already been out to the house 2 prior times between me and my roommate. Yes. And the police had told us that if they came out again, that somebody would be arrested. So I believe that she did it in spite to get me arrested, to prove a point to me, because my roommate said I owed her money for back rent.
What did she have to do with that?
Ma'am, I did not swing keys.
Yes, you did. Sure you did.
Yes, you did.
Sure you did. You were angry. You had a fight. You didn't know who she was. She was helping your roommate. You swung keys, you didn't injure her, you didn't hurt her, but she had an absolute right to call the police. Grow up. Case dismissed.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm very disappointed.
No good deed goes unpunished.
I don't think the judge really understood it.
My whole purpose of going there that day was to help a friend move. That was it.
It's done and over with.
No reason for her to aggress on me. I don't think anybody should aggress on anybody. If you've got issues, there's courts for them.
Some people just have a better word and can play a better act.
I think it all started before I showed up. I just happened to be the person in that spot at the moment.
I got to spend 12 hours in jail in shorts and a short sleeve shirt and no shoes.
Well, just be careful when you help people.
Unpaid utility bills.
Order. Come to order. All rise. Now, this is case number 553 on the calendar in the matter of Bennett versus Robinson. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mrs. Bennett, the defendant is your son,
yes, ma'am,
who you claim owes you for some utility bills that were incurred when you lived in a house together with your son, his wife, and their children. And then in a duplex house, you lived in one floor and they lived in another, and the utilities in both places were in your name.
yes.
And you claimed that there was an agreement that he'd pay those bills.
In his apartment only.
Okay. Well, first tell me about the house that you shared together. When did you move into that house?
July of 2001.
Why did you move in together?
Well, Bob was having financial problems, and he needed Karen.
Shh. Don't answer. I'm going to get to you. Promise you.
He
was having the financial problems?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And he needed Karen to go to work, but he also needed someone to watch the kids. So me moving in, helping with the rent and utilities, and watching the children would help them.
What's your first name?
Robert.
Robert. Don't speak until it's your turn. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's why you moved in?
Right.
Were they already living in this house?
No, we got it together. They had moved out of their apartment in with me. I had a 2-bedroom house. Of course, it was just too small for all of us.
Okay. Listen to me carefully, sir. I'm going to ask you a question. So far, is it correct that you and your wife and your children, at some point prior to July of 2001, moved in, even for a short time, with your mother in her house that had 2 bedrooms?
Yeah, but the arrangement was we were going to look for... Yes.
Requires a simple yes or a no.
Yes.
And how long did you live with your mother in her house?
For like a month, just until we found a large place. That's
Good.
it.
And then...
That was the arrangement.
Does your wife listen to you? Do you make the rules in your house?
Yes.
Not here. Not here. Okay, so then you moved into a house together. And what was the financial arrangement?
I had the upstairs bedroom. I would give him $400 a month for rent, utilities, plus I would chip in anywhere from $100 to $150 for food every month.
And what was the entire rent on the house?
$1,200, I think it was.
Okay, and how long did you live there?
1 year.
Okay. Robert, listen
Yes.
to me carefully. Did you live in this house for approximately 1 year, from August of 2001 until August of 2002?
Yes.
Why were the utilities put in your name?
Because Bob owed back bills and couldn't have them on in his name.
And what was the arrangement with regard to the utility bills?
That he would pay him, you know, I'd give him $400 a month toward rent and utilities.
And he would pay the bills?
Right.
Okay. How much was left owing on those bills when you and your son and his family moved out of that house?
On the electric, the transfer amount was $684.04. And it was $315.05 on the gas.
So those amounts were transferred to the new account that was opened in the duplex?
Yes.
For some strange reason, you continue to have the accounts in your name?
Yes.
For both apartments?
Yes.
And what amounts were built up on his apartment only while you were there?
Well, I got a final bill for him in the gas for $1,290.98, and the electric, $884.18, and the cable, $836.64.
And those are just his bills, not yours?
No.
Okay. Good. Now it's your turn.
Okay. When we moved into the house originally, now she may have given me $400 a month or around $400 a month, but during the month, she'd be like, Bobby got $20, I want to go to bingo. You know, can you buy me cigarettes, buy me some more pop, buy me this, buy me that, keep a gas in my car. So by the end of the month, I mean, it's like I got nothing from her.
So let me understand this. In the first house that you lived together,
Yeah.
your arrangement with your mother is, as she indicated, she would give you... She may let you cut her off. I don't. The arrangement was as indicated, which was your mother gave you $400, and the first part of your defense is that during the course of the year, she would say to you, Bobby, I got 20 bucks for gas, I need cigarettes, can you buy them for me? So it's your position that she ate into that $400 a month. So that's the first part of it. Okay? Now I'm ready to hear the rest.
Well, anyway, everything got tense in the house. Living together doesn't work. You know, I'm the man of my house, and then, you know, I don't need a mommy in the house, you know. So anyway, we found a place that we could rent both the upper and lower apartments, so we rented them. She transferred the balances from that house to my bills in the lower apartment.
Okay. And you thought that was wrong?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, even though, you know, the cigarettes and the gum and the candy and the gas, you still didn't think it was wrong because it was money that you owed her?
No. To be honest, I would just assume leave it alone. You can't tell her what to, you know, you can't.
I don't want to tell you. We're in a court now.
You can't prove her wrong. You know what I mean? I mean, it's either her way or no way or an argument, and I just assume leave it alone.
So you did. Just a second. So you did, and you accepted the transfer to your account in the other apartment.
Yes.
Keep going.
Okay. Bills start coming. She come downstairs. Your gas is $200. I need that. You know. She would never show me any bills or anything. She would just tell me amounts.
The bills went to her?
The bills going to the house. She would get them out of the mailbox. If I would dare open a piece of mail that was in her name, I mean, she would have a coronary.
He's lying.
Oh, yeah.
Of course he is. Of course he is. Because how did he know that the bills were transferred to the lower unit?
How do I know?
Unless he saw them.
Well, I saw them, but if I dare open one, it would be nothing but a.
You mean you were able to do a Carnac with the bill? You were able to go like this? This is a bill, and this is the amount, and this was the transfer amount. So you had to have seen it.
No.
Right?
No.
You just told me.
I saw the bill. I just didn't see the amount. I knew the bill was there. This was started this stuff. I opened one and I saw the balances on there, and the balances were astronomical. And I'm like, Ma, what's happened to this money? I've been giving you money every month, you know, and you're not paying the bills.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So how much did you give her every month?
I don't have records. I mean, I just gave her what she asked for. You know, it's my mother. It's my mother. She lives upstairs.
Stop being a big baby, Bob.
And later today,
she herself is not even on the lease.
Yeah.
Then I come to find out we are not even supposed to be there.
Okay, fine. That's not why you moved out. Left on your own.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janet Bennett says her son Bob Robinson owes for unpaid utility bills. Bob says his mother is always asking for money.
Let me understand. First part of defense was that you gave her cigarette money that ate into her $400 a month rent.
That wasn't really part of the defense.
Shh, sir, then what'd you tell me about it for? I have other things to do today.
I'm just telling what kind of person she is.
Listen to me. She's not my mother, and I'm not looking for any friends. So that I don't have to know what kind of a person she is. I want to know what your defense is to this. So that you want me not to think about that defense. So whatever the transferred amounts were, that you accept, the amounts that were transferred to your lower unit.
Yeah, but I paid the balances.
Okay. So now you're telling me that you paid that balance of $900.
Not in full, no. She made a payment.
How much did you pay?
She made a payment agreement with the gas company. So we moved to a cheaper rent apartment. I had extra money. So I said, make a payment arrangement with the gas company, and I would pay these balances.
So how much did you give her every month?
I don't have records. I mean, I just gave her what she asked for. You know? It's my mother. It's my mother. She lives upstairs.
Bob,
I need $200 for the gas. All right, here.
What kind of business are you in, Bob?
I'm in a cab business.
You're in a taxi cab business. So you know how much you take in, you know how much you take out, you know how much you pay for gas, you know all about those things.
Sure.
If you know that you have a problem with the gas company.
I didn't at then. I didn't.
Well, you did. You had a problem with all your utilities. You don't build up utility bill of $1,000 for various utilities because you paid them.
That's easy up north. Especially like this. I mean, even this year. I mean, I'm living in a small place.
What
My
about
bills
your
are
cable?
$400 a month.
How does one build up an $800 cable bill?
Well, that's because she didn't take the boxes back. The converter boxes.
Just a minute.
I told her to take them back.
We're talking about you.
I told her to take them back. She didn't take them back.
Why didn't you take them back?
Because it wasn't in my name. I asked her to do it.
Just a minute. In whose house were they?
Our house at the time.
Why didn't you or your wife take them back?
Because I worked. She doesn't drive.
What did you
and we
do
lived
with
in the
them?
country, and I.
Shh. What happened to them?
I don't know. They may have got left. I don't know.
Stop being a big baby. You owe your mother the money. Come on.
I don't
Stop
owe
being
my
a
mother.
big.
No, I don't owe my mother nothing.
Stop being a big baby,
I don't
Bob.
owe my mother the money. I give her money all the time, okay?
I don't,
Bob,
listen
can I
to
have
me.
$20 to go to bingo? Can I do it? Oh, she still does it now.
I'm not talking.
She still does it now.
I'm not talking to you,
You know,
sir.
I feel like I have another.
I'm speaking.
I feel like I have another child.
Shh, listen to me.
I feel like I have another child here. I really do. I love my mother to death, but she's a pain in the ass.
Then don't live with her.
I'm not. She's moving. That's great.
Shh. I want you to try to listen. Try to receive rather than give out. I mean, I know it's hard. When you pull in your parent to help out, there's always a problem. When you're a grown-up and you have your own family and you want to make all of your own decisions, then you live separate and apart from your mother. But if you're a grown-up and you have your family and you have to ask for whatever assistance it is, even for a short time, from your mother, and then you say, well, you may be my mother, but you're not my mother who's going to give me advice. You're not my mother who's going to tell me what to do. She wouldn't have to tell you what to do if you didn't ask her for a favor. You asked her for a favor. Whatever it was, your circumstances were such that you couldn't cut it alone. So you moved in with her, even for a short period of time. And that creates friction. But how many grandmothers do your children have?
One.
You are being so totally unfair to her and your children.
Why is that?
Because children are entitled to have the widest possible community of love and affection that they can. And if, because of this argument that you're having with your mom, your children are affected by it, that's a terrible thing to do to your kids. Now, if you think, Bob, that I believe that it's the right thing for a mother to sue her child, I don't.
No.
I think that, Mrs. Bennett, that it's a dumb thing to do, because I think that what you have to do is you have to take a hard swallow and say, I'm not going to put myself in that situation again because I can't afford it, but I'm not going to sue my son because I just refuse to do that. So I think that that's a mistake. I believe you that he owes you the money for the utility bills. I think that he probably hit some hard times, and he has got kids, and he's got his own expenses, and he has gas, and he has food, and he probably has insurance, and he has medical bills, and he has all kinds of other stuff, so that you were covering this, and it was on the back burner. And I believe that everything else that he's telling me are excuses, but I think it's a mistake to sue your child. That being said, I think that if you use as retaliation that you're going to cut her off from her grandchildren, that's a mistake, because it's a mistake for your children.
I mean, she has the audacity to try and sue me for money that was paid to her.
I don't believe it was paid to her, Bob.
It was.
I don't believe it was paid to her out of gas money and cigarette money.
That being said,
listen to me. That being said, you asked for her help.
Because she has copies of bills that she didn't pay?
Receive. I just said to you, it's a mistake to embroil your children in adult problems. In any event, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm not proud of what I had to do, but I had to do it.
Well, you've been conned by the biggest con artist I know.
I love my son. I love my grandkids, and he won't let me see them.
What's she going to sue me for next, you know?
He blows up and says, I'm a man, you know, I don't need a mommy.
I mean, I don't care now. She's moving. Goodbye.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cotton Price versus Grum Boys. Step forward, please.
Medical assistant Victoria Cotton and tax assistant Dane Price are suing their former roommate, bartender Angela Grumboyce, for overcharging them for rent and emotional distress.
Who is speaking for the two of you?
That would be myself, Your Honor.
And you are?
Victoria Cotton.
All right, Miss Cotton, you and Mr. Price rented a room, answered an ad and rented a room from the defendant. And it is your claim that you were overcharged in rent and some other nonsense about her not telling you about her past, which you think she should have told you before you rented the room. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Let me take care of that part first.
Okay.
You're not entitled to know the social criminal background of anybody who is your landlord. You're renting a room, she doesn't have to tell you whether she suffers from any illness whatsoever. Nor does she have to give you information regarding if she had any prior activities with law enforcement or social services. You're not entitled to that. Do you understand?
I understand.
Good. Now let's talk about the rent. When did you answer this ad, and when did you move in?
I answered the ad on April the 23rd. I moved into her home on April the 30th.
Who moved in?
I did, Your Honor.
Just you?
Yes.
So what's he doing here?
I've been living there since January.
With her?
No.
So what are you doing there as plaintiff?
I was being overcharged in the beginning, but I didn't even notice it because I was at work all the time. She brought it to my attention.
So the two of you moved in separately.
That's correct.
And you're both suing her for overcharging you rent.
That's correct.
Tell me what kind of an apartment this was.
It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It was to include laundry and kitchen privileges.
Uh-huh.
When I met with Ms. Grumbois, I stated to her that I had 2 children. One would be with me constantly. The other one was going to be with me on a part-time basis.
And when did you move in?
January 1st.
Okay. And what was the rent that you agreed on?
$475.
And what rent were you paying?
I was paying $500, Your Honor.
Now, why do you think she was overcharging you in rent?
When I first interviewed with her, she had stated to myself and to Mr. Price that we were all going to be paying equal shares of rent and utilities. Shortly after I had moved in, I had noticed some behavior and things that caused me to investigate further. I went to her manager's office at the apartment complex and I inquired as to what the rent was. She told me that the rent was $1,200 a month. Well, with my $500, Mr. Price's $475, I calculated that she was paying $200 to $225. I also know that previous tenants before me paid $550, which means that she paid even less.
And how many months did you live there?
I lived there for 2.
And how many months did you live there, sir?
6.
Okay. So let me tell you a little about what the law is. This is not a rent-controlled situation. This is not a situation where the government does oversight when someone rents rooms in their apartment or even rents rooms in their house. Let's say you're renting an apartment in a big apartment building, and you want to negotiate the rent with the landlord who wants to charge you $500 a month. And the landlord says to you, listen, I have to charge you $500 a month rent because it costs me $400 a month in order to maintain each unit. So in order for me to make any profit, I have to charge you $500. And you agree to pay $500. Later, you find out that it only costs the landlord $300 a month to maintain each unit. You think that you can go back to the landlord and say, I want a reduction in my rent. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. If it's true that she said that to you, that you were going to be sharing the rent equally, that's what they call in the trade puffing. That's like when you go to buy a car and the salesman said, listen, the car costs us $26,000. I'm giving it to you for $50 over that price. And you say, okay. And then you find out that instead of making $50 on the car sale, he made $550 on the car sale. You think he's going to give you back your money? She was cutting her rent. There's nothing wrong with that.
Your Honor, she herself is not even on the lease. She's lived there for 10.5 years.
Yeah.
Then I come to find out we are not even supposed to be there. Her contract specifically states that she is not to be subleasing, although her management company claims that they know that she has roommates.
Okay, fine. That's not why you moved out. You weren't evicted, were you?
No.
Left on your own. She's allowed to do what she's doing. There's no oversight. So you don't have a lawsuit. Do you understand that? But that's the law. Do you understand that that's the law, whether you agree with it or not?
I understand.
That's what the law is. So you're not living there anymore. Go, be happy, have a nice life. Forget it. Goodbye. You were lovely. You presented a very good case.
Yeah, right.
Victoria lied about that I agreed to split it 3 ways with her when she moved in. That was a flat-out lie.
I have no comment.
I thought that she should pay a little more than 1/3 because she has 2 children that have been living in my home as well as herself.
Actually, I have no comment at this point.
She didn't think that she should have to pay more than 1/3, and I said, whoa, wait a minute, and it was only $21.04 more.
I'd like to reserve my right to have no comment at this time. Thank you.
Business is business.